Chapter 1454. 1454 8th Senior Sister. Xuanixin Lu Ming touched his nose with a bitter smile. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had said that there was nothing else he could teach Lu Ming in the future. It seemed that he was destined to figure it out on his own. Ming-er, you have to be careful. The more powerful the domain is, the more difficult it is to cultivate it. Especially when it comes to breaking through, the difficulty will be greater. The chaos domain is even more so. So, in the future, you have to spend more effort on the chaos domain. After a moment of silence, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master warned him seriously. Lu Ming nodded. He had already noticed this. Also, from now on, you're free to enter any place in Cloud Dragon Valley, including my library. There's my cultivation experience in there. You can go and study it. It might be helpful to you, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Many thanks, Master. Lu Ming was overjoyed and bowed to express his gratitude. He could enter any place in the Cloud Dragon Valley as he wished. He also had the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cultivation insights. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cultivation was unfathomable. Lu Ming estimated that he was definitely not at the Bright Saint Realm. It was very likely that he had surpassed the Bright Saint Realm. The cultivation experience of such an existence was definitely precious. If Lu Ming could comprehend it, it would definitely be of great help to his cultivation. At that moment, a jade token appeared in the hands of the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. This is your identity token. It contains your information and your contribution points. Take a look and see if it's correct. Lu Ming took the identity token and inserted his essential core. A row of information appeared in his mind. It was all his basic information. In the column of contribution points, the number was 2. 15 million contribution points. These were the contribution points he had exchanged for with the sex treasures. Lu Ming kept the identity token. Ming-er, there's one thing you have to take note of. Although I've accepted you as a true disciple and joined the Cloud Dragon Valley, the Cloud Dragon Valley is a part of the Dragon God Valley. Therefore, for the first 2 years, you'll still have to listen to the arrangements of the Dragon God Valley and complete some basic tasks. 2 years later, you won't need to be assigned any tasks by the sect. You can choose on your own, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Lu Ming nodded. This was very easy to understand. Lu Ming was not too surprised. It was normal for new disciples to make some contributions to the sect. Also, you've offended the people of Silver Dragon Valley. Those guys are narrow-minded. You must be careful of them during this period. Their elders don't dare to interfere. But I won't interfere with the competition between the young generation. You have to rely on yourself. Finally, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master warned him again. Thank you, Master. I will be careful. Lu Ming said. Go. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master waved his hand. Lu Ming bowed and left the place. I can't waste my 15 million contribution points. Let's go and see if there are any true dragon materials to exchange for them. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. If he had the materials from a true dragon, he would be able to upgrade the Dragon God combat body. Lu Ming flew all the way out, planning to go to the Treasure Dragon Palace to ask. He had not flown far when a figure blocked in front of him. It was a young woman in a snow-white dress. She looked like she was only 18 or 19 years old. She had a lithe figure and was extremely beautiful, like a fairy that had descended from the 9 heavens. Stop! The young woman spread her arms and stood in front of Lu Ming. And you are? Lu Ming stopped and asked. Are you Master's new direct disciple? The young woman blinked her big eyes curiously, staring at Lu Ming and sizing him up. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. From the other party's tone, he should be another legacy disciple of the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. That's right. I'm Master's 9th new disciple, Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. Ha ha ha. It's really you. Quickly call me Senior Sister. I'm your 8th Senior Sister Xuanixin. I'm finally not little Junior Sister. The young woman almost jumped up and laughed out loud in excitement. Lu Ming was rather speechless. It turned out that the other party was his senior sister. But she was so young. In the end, Lu Ming was helpless. He cupped his fists and said, Greetings, 8th Senior Sister. Yes, okay, cough. Xuanixin was overjoyed. but she still had to put on a mature look. She glanced at Lu Ming, coughed a few times and said, "Little junior brother, in the future, just follow senior sister. Senior sister will guarantee you a good life." As he said that, he even patted himself and continued, "Junior brother, I heard that you're quite strong and have shown your power in the great emperor's secret realm. Come, let's have a few moves." Having said that, he looked at Lu Ming in anticipation. A few moves? Lu Ming was speechless. That's right. Sigh, there are too few people in our Cloud Dragon Valley. It's so boring. Those ordinary disciples don't even dare to fight with me. In the past 10 years, Master has only accepted 3 true disciples. The other senior brothers are so old and have profound cultivation. I'm no match for them at all. There's also that massacring maniac. He's out there every day to train and kill. No one has fought with me. Xuanixin kept on talking. Lu Ming was speechless. He quickly interrupted Xuanixin and said, "Senior sister, I still have something to do. Maybe next time." With that, he was about to leave. "No, now. Today. Are you looking down on me?" Xuanixin's eyes widened, and she threw a punch at Lu Ming. Boom, boom, boom. This punch was shockingly powerful, and the space around it began to rumble. So strong. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He did not dare to be careless. He spread out his chaos domain and threw a punch at Xuanixin. Thump. The 2 fists collided. Lu Ming's body trembled as he felt a terrifying force surging towards him. His body trembled, and he could not help but take 9 steps back before he could stabilize himself. But Xuanixin did not move. What a terrifying power. Lu Ming gasped in shock. The other's strength was beyond his imagination. The most shocking thing was that he felt that Xuanixin had used most of her physical strength, not much of her true essence. Just the strength of his body alone was enough to force him back 9 steps. Not bad. You're only at the LV1 Martial Emperor realm, yet you're only forced to take 9 steps back after receiving my punch. Not bad, not bad. Unfortunately, your cultivation is too low. Xuanixin mumbled and sized Lu Ming up curiously. Little junior brother, you have to cultivate well. When your cultivation improves, you can practice with me. Without waiting for Lu Ming to reply, he jogged away. Lu Ming was speechless. This senior sister was too weird. Most importantly, the other party looked young, but his strength was shocking. Lu Ming was shocked. It seems that there are countless geniuses in the Yuanlu. Moreover, my cultivation is indeed too low. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Haha, 9th junior brother, don't mind her. That's just how she is. A hearty laugh came over as Long Yuan Mountain stepped through the air. Chapter 1455. 1455 Dragon Bone of the Saint Realm 2nd Senior. Lu Ming smiled. I don't mind. Besides, 8th Senior Sister's abilities are profound. I'm very impressed. 9th junior brother, I have something to tell you. Long Yuan Shan smiled mysteriously and said, Actually, 8th junior sister is not human. Inhuman? A demon? Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he muttered, 8th junior sister, your true form is a dragon, a true dragon, a pure-blooded true dragon. Long Yuan Mountain said, What? A pure-blooded true dragon? Lu Ming was greatly shocked. In the continent group of the Divine Ruins, Lu Ming had never met a pure-blooded divine beast. The one with the highest concentration of blood was only 90% of the divine beast's blood. However, although 90% in pure blood didn't seem to be much different, it was actually a world of difference. Pure-blooded divine beasts were born with an advantage and were extremely powerful. Even the innate spirit body of humans was slightly inferior to the body of pure-blooded divine beasts. This was especially true for terrifying existences like true dragons. It was said that once a true dragon was born, it would have the strength of the spiritual ocean realm. Without cultivating, it would naturally reach the martial emperor realm when it reached adulthood. Once he started cultivating, his achievements would be even higher. Furthermore, after a pure-blooded divine beast entered the emperor realm, its body would undergo another transformation, becoming even more terrifying. Of course, there were also differences in the true dragon's talent. After becoming a martial emperor, there were also differences in the strength of their physiques. Lu Ming felt that Xuanixin's physique was definitely not at the level of a low-grade Earth spiritual body. It had even surpassed a medium-grade Earth spiritual body. It was a true dragon. No wonder it was so powerful. The Yuan continent is indeed the Yuan continent. We have just arrived, and we have already met a pure-blooded true dragon. Then, there must be many other pure-blooded divine beasts in the Yuan continent, such as the Qilin and the Phoenix. Lu Ming's heart was filled with infinite expectations. The Yuan continent was bound to be more exciting and brilliant than the continents of the divine ruins. The rise of the paragons and the competition between the divine beasts made Lu Ming's blood boil. Ninth junior brother, where are you going? Longyuan Mountain asked. I'm planning to go to Treasure Dragon Palace to exchange for some useful items. Lu Ming said. Oh, I'm also going to the Treasure Dragon Palace. I'll take you there. Longyuan Mountain laughed. All right. Lu Ming nodded and followed Longyuan Mountain to Treasure Dragon Palace. The Treasure Dragon Palace was located on a huge snow mountain. Disciples of the Dragon God Valley could exchange contribution points for treasures here. Of course, they could also exchange treasures for contribution points. Soon, Lu Ming and Longyuan Mountain arrived at the Treasure Dragon Palace. Outside the Treasure Dragon Palace, there were many people coming and going. Fortunately, the Treasure Dragon Palace was huge enough to accommodate so many people. So many experts. Lu Ming used his spiritual senses to scan the area, and found that everyone here was an emperor. As for those below the emperor realm, he did not see a single one. There were many counters around the Treasure Dragon Palace. Junior brother, you can walk around freely. I still have things to do here. Longyuan Mountain said. Senior brother, you can go. Lu Ming nodded. Longyuan Shan nodded, and walked towards one of the houses, while Lu Ming casually sized it up. After looking around for a while, Lu Ming walked to a counter. A white-haired old man was sitting in front of the counter. Senior, may I ask if there's any spiritual liquid here? Lu Ming asked. Of course there is. There are all kinds of spiritual liquids recorded in this jade talisman. You can choose whatever you want. The old man took out a jade talisman and handed it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and scanned it with his spiritual senses. He realized that there were hundreds of types of spiritual liquid recorded in it. The function and effect of each spiritual liquid were recorded very clearly. Lu Ming looked at them one by one. After a while, he returned the jade card to the old man. Senior, I need Myriad Spirit Night. How do I exchange for it? Lu Ming asked. Myriad Spirit Night can promote the growth of spiritual medicine. It's an item that alchemists need. It's extremely precious. One tael is 1,000 contribution points. The old man said. 1,000 contribution points? That's really expensive. Lu Ming muttered in his heart. One contribution point was equivalent to 100 mid-grade raw stones. 1,000 contribution points were equivalent to 100,000 mid-grade raw stones, which was only 50 grams. The price was almost the same as the ultra-quality life potion. However, for the growth of the path understanding ancient tree, everything was worth it. Senior, I'll exchange for 5 kilograms of Myriad Spirit Liquid, Lu Ming said. Alright, give me your identity token. The old man said. Lu Ming passed the identity token to the old man. The old man took out an array disc and scanned the identity token before returning it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming realized that the contribution points in the identity token had been reduced by 100,000 to 2,050,000. Then, the old man took out a jade bottle and handed it to Lu Ming. The jade bottle was filled with 10,000 spirit liquid, weighing 5 kilograms. Lu Ming kept it satisfied. Senior, I wonder if you can exchange for the materials of a true dragon here. You need a true dragon above the martial emperor realm, such as dragon bones, dragon blood, dragon marrow, and so on. They need to be full of spirituality. Lu Ming whispered to the old man. Lu Ming had obtained dragon bones that were not full of spirituality in the divine wilderness continent before. However, the cultivation level of those dragon bones was not very high when they were alive. Furthermore, too much time had passed, and most of the spirituality had been lost. Those dragon bones were not of much use to Lu Ming now. I do have materials of a true dragon that are at the rank of a martial emperor and above, but not many of them. Furthermore, the price is very high. The old man muttered. Senior, am willing to exchange. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It'll help you ask. The old man took out a jade voice transmission talisman and sent a message. Not long after, the old man received the news. According to your request, there's a piece of dragon bone that weighs 15 kilograms. After testing, it's suspected that the cultivation of this true dragon was at the Saint Realm when it was alive. It's full of spirituality, but the price is 2 million contribution points. Do you want it? The old man said. 2 million contribution points? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. A 20-kilogram piece of dragon bone was actually worth 2 million contribution points. This was the price of 2 saint weapons. However, the other party said that this true dragon seemed to have reached the Saint Realm when it was alive. No wonder it was so expensive. I'm changing. In the end, Lu Ming gritted his teeth. The old man looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Lu Ming's cultivation seemed to be only at the first-level martial emperor realm, but he actually had 2 million contribution points. He was really not simple. Alright, wait a moment. The old man left the counter after he finished speaking. Lu Ming knew that the other party had gone to get the dragon bones. After a while, the elder returned with a storage ring and handed it to Lu Ming. You can check it first. Lu Ming took the storage ring and scanned it with his spiritual senses. He found a snow-white dragon bone lying quietly in the storage ring, emitting a powerful spiritual essence. One could even vaguely see small dragons swimming on the dragon bones. This was definitely not the dragon bone of an ordinary emperor-level true dragon. It should be the dragon bone left behind by a Saint Realm true dragon. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He passed his identity jade card to the elder. The old man swiped the array disc again, and Lu Ming's contribution points became 50,000. Chapter 1456. 1456 Spirit Body Evolution. I'll refine it when I get back. I wonder what level this dragon bone can evolve my dragon god combat body to? Lu Ming's heart was burning. After putting away the dragon bones, he did not delay and returned to Cloud Dragon Valley. After entering the cave abode, Lu Ming first watered the path understanding ancient tree with 5 kilograms of Myriad spirit liquid. Then he sat cross-legged and with a thought. The dragon bone appeared in front of Lu Ming. Roar! The dragon bone was sparkling and translucent, and a dragon's roar could be faintly heard. It exuded a powerful spiritual essence. Alright, Lu Ming's eyes brightened. A powerful devouring force emanated from his body and enveloped the dragon bone. In an instant, wisps of essence from the dragon bone flew toward Lu Ming like tiny true dragons and entered his body. Lu Ming circulated the true war dragon technique, the cultivation technique of the dragon god combat body. He began to absorb and refine the essence to temper his spirit body. Just like that, time passed by day. As time passed, the dragon bone grew smaller and the light on it dimmed. Lu Ming's body was surrounded by a layer of divine light. Lu Ming's spirit body was undergoing a transformation. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Kacha! A crack appeared on the dragon bone, and with a final bang, it turned into a pile of powder. There was no longer any spiritual essence on it. Roar! At this moment, a deafening dragon's roar came from Lu Ming's body. The shadow of 9 dragons appeared and circled around him. After a while, it burrowed into Lu Ming's body and disappeared. The muscles all over Lu Ming's body squirmed and his bones cracked. After a moment he calmed down. Who? At this moment, Lu Ming let out a long breath and opened his eyes. Medium-grade earth spiritual body. Lu Ming felt the strong power in his body, and a thought flashed across his mind. Medium-grade earth spiritual body. Lu Ming's spirit body had successfully completed its evolution and had achieved a medium-grade earth spiritual body. This was a qualitative transformation from a low-grade earth spiritual body to a medium-grade earth spiritual body. If others knew about this, it would probably cause a huge uproar. The intrinsic level of a spirit body was very difficult to improve. An ordinary martial emperor would temper their spirit body while improving their cultivation. As their cultivation increased, their spirit body would become stronger as well. However, this kind of increase in strength was only a quantitative increase. For example, If a warrior with a low-grade earth spiritual body improved his cultivation, the power and effect of his spiritual body would also become stronger. However, he would still be a low-grade earth spiritual body. This was his nature and would not change. From a low-grade earth spiritual body to a medium-grade earth spiritual body. This was an improvement in essence. Lu Ming had completed the upgrade of the essence. The higher the essence level of the spirit body, the more powerful it would be. Moreover, when the cultivation level increased, the extent of the improvement of the spirit body would also be greater. It was extremely difficult for a spirit body to improve its essence. There were very few ways to increase one's intrinsic quality. Just like De, he had obtained the cultivation method of the Myriad spirit body by chance. It was a method that could improve the nature of the spirit body, but it was also very difficult. It required the blood and essence of thousands of creatures. De had spent 10,000 years to no avail. Once he succeeded, his spiritual body would evolve into a low-grade spiritual body. It was said that in the Yuan continent, there were some heavenly treasures that could also allow a spirit body to undergo a qualitative change. However, each of these heavenly treasures was extremely rare and priceless. A dragon bone worth 2 million contribution points can only be upgraded from a low-tier earth spiritual body to a medium-tier earth spiritual body. I wonder how many resources I'll need to upgrade it in the future. Lu Ming sighed. He was originally looking forward to raising his earth spiritual body to a superior earth spiritual body, but it seemed like an extravagant hope. The resources and dragon essence required to upgrade the dragon god combat body were much more than he had imagined. Moreover, the further he advanced, the more dragon essence he would need. The amount of dragon essence needed to advance from a medium-grade earth spiritual body to a superior-grade earth spiritual body was 10 times more than the amount needed to advance from a low-grade earth spiritual body to a medium-grade earth spiritual body. After that, it would be an even more astronomical figure to raise it to the heavenly spiritual body. Lu Ming had a headache just thinking about it. I'll take it slow. After my cultivation improves, I'll just go out and take risks to earn Orirox and contribution points. Lu Ming had this plan. Then, Lu Ming continued to cultivate, comprehending the 13 momentum-storing strikes and the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal. The Chaos Sky-Turning Seal, like other domain-level martial arts techniques, was divided into 6 levels. Lu Ming had only cultivated to the first level and was about to break through to the second level. In the blink of an eye, another 10 days had passed. Lu Ming had joined Cloud Dragon Valley for more than a month. After 10 days of bitter cultivation, the Chaos Sky-Turning Seal had successfully reached the second level. Lu Ming had also reached the second level of the Storing Power 13 strikes. A casual swing of the spear could contain 4 streams of power, and the power was astonishing. At this moment, Lu Ming received a message. He had a mission. It was a mission given to him by Dragon God Valley. Normally, the sect would assign a mission to new disciples within 3 months. Lu Ming flew out of Dragon God Valley according to the mission's instructions. A few people were already waiting on a small snow mountain. These few people had the same mission as Lu Ming. "You are Lu Ming." Lu Ming landed and some of them recognized him. When Lu Ming had first joined Dragon God Valley, he had caused a huge commotion. The Valley Masters of Silver Dragon Valley and Cloud Dragon Valley had come in person. In the end, the Valley Master of Cloud Dragon Valley had even accepted Lu Ming as his disciple. Back then, many people had watched the show. It was normal for some of them to recognize Lu Ming. "How should I address you?" Lu Ming cupped his fists and swept his gaze across the room. Other than Lu Ming, there were 4 other people. One of them was a brawny man in his 30s. He had a burly figure and a head of inch-long hair. His aura was the most threatening. The other 3 people were slightly younger. 2 of them were young men in their 20s, and one of them was a young woman in her 20s. They had hot figures and curvaceous bodies. "I'm Su Long." The buzz-cut man introduced himself. Then, the other 3 also introduced themselves. The 2 young men were Zhang Kong and Fu Xing. The young woman was called Duan Yan. The few of them did not hide their cultivation. Lu Ming scanned them with his spiritual senses, and they were clear of their cultivation. Su Long's cultivation was the strongest, at the peak LV3 Martial Royal Realm. Fu Xing and Duan Yen were both at the LV3 Martial Royal Realm. One of them was at the early stage of LV3, while the other was at the late stage. Zhang Kong, on the other hand, was at the peak of the second-level Martial Royal Realm. Lu Ming was the weakest at the peak of the first-level Martial Emperor Realm. I believe that everyone is aware of our mission. The Feng family of the Six Kong Mountain is a subsidiary family of Dragon God Valley. Some time ago, the Feng family's master was mysteriously killed, and the Feng family couldn't find any clues. A few days later, the second master of the Feng family was also killed mysteriously. The Feng family panicked and asked for help from Dragon God Valley. Our mission this time is to find out the cause of death of the head of the Feng family and the second master of the Feng family, as well as find the murderer and ensure the safety of the Feng family. Su Long briefly explained the mission. Lu Ming and the rest nodded. They had seen this mission before. All right, let's set off now, Su Long said. The group rose into the air and flew toward the Feng family of the Six Kong Mountain. Chapter 1457. 1457 Chapter 1457 Coffin. Open. The Feng family of the Six Kong Mountain was a small family within the Dragon God Valley territory. It was a subsidiary family of the Dragon God Valley, which was quite far away from the Dragon God Valley. The five of them traveled day and night, and it took them 10 days to reach the Feng family. What a cold and sinister aura! Duan Yin shuddered as she approached the Feng family. Everyone's brows furrowed slightly. They felt that the air here was particularly cold. In front of them, there was a continuous stretch of palace buildings, and a group of people came out to welcome them. The leader of the group was a young man with a pale face. When he saw Lu Ming and the rest, the young man quickly saluted them. Feng Yi of the Feng family greets the Dragon God Valley's high ambassadors. No need to be so polite. Su Long waved his hand and said. After the introduction, everyone knew that Feng Yi was the only son of the Feng family's master. Those who followed Feng Yi to welcome them were all high-level figures of the Feng family. Everyone, please come in to talk. Feng Yi welcomed Lu Ming and the rest into the Feng family mansion. A very cold feeling. Lu Ming furrowed his brows as he entered the Feng family mansion. He felt that the atmosphere was even colder. Did anything happen to the Feng family during this time? In the hall of the Feng family, everyone took their seats and Su Long was the first to speak. 3 days ago, my third uncle also died, Feng Yi said with a sorrowful expression. The other members of the Feng family all looked terrified. It was unknown who the Feng family had offended. The higher-ups of the Feng family had died mysteriously one after another. During this period, the Feng family had fallen into a state of panic. No one knew who would be the next one. Do you know how he died? Su Long said. I don't know. We've checked it carefully. There's no wound, not a single wound. Feng Yi said, shaking his head. No wound. How is that possible? Fu Xing said, clearly in disbelief. It's true. We've checked carefully. My father, my second uncle, and my third uncle are all the same. There's no wound at all. They seem to have died suddenly. But they were all Martial Royal Realm experts, so it's impossible for them to die suddenly. Someone must have done this in secret. Feng Yi said through gritted teeth. Does your Feng family have any enemies? Su Long asked. The Feng family is considered weak in the Six Kong Mountain area. We usually do things with fear and trepidation. We don't dare to offend other forces. Therefore, the Feng family has always been on good terms with other families and forces. We have almost no enemies. Feng Yi said. Su Long, Lu Ming, and the others frowned. No enemies, no wounds, no clues. How could they investigate? Could it be that he had to wait for an opportunity? Wait for the other party to attack again? The hall suddenly quieted down, and the atmosphere became heavy. I suggest we open the coffin and do an autopsy. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence. The person who spoke was Lu Ming. Open the coffin and perform an autopsy? Everyone's gaze turned to Lu Ming. That's not good. My father and the others have just been buried not long ago. It's a little disrespectful to open a school now. Feng Yi said. I also agreed to open the coffin and perform an autopsy. Otherwise, how can we investigate without any clues? If the other party doesn't make a move after this, wouldn't this matter be left unsettled? Su Long said. Then, Fu Xing, Duan Yan, and Zhang Kong all agreed to open the coffin and perform an autopsy. Feng Yi's expression changed. In the end, he gritted his teeth and nodded, agreeing to this matter. They acted immediately. Under the lead of Feng Yi and a few higher-ups of the Feng family, they went to the back mountain. Soon they arrived at the burial place of the Feng family head and the others. Feng Yi arranged for the Feng family to take action. Soon, 3 purple gold coffins were placed in front of Su Long and the others. The lids of the coffins were already opened. 3 middle-aged men were lying quietly in the purple gold coffins. The 3 of them were all emperors, and their corpses would not rot unless they were more than 100 years old. Even now they were still alive. Lu Ming, Su Long, and the rest took a closer look. Suddenly, Lu Ming raised his eyebrows as if he had discovered something. There was a puzzled look in his eyes, but he remained silent and did not say anything. Then they carefully examined the 3 bodies. As expected, there were no wounds, not a single wound. No wound. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. He recalled the Emperor Tsong's subordinates in the Emperor's secret realm. They died in the Emperor's secret realm without any injuries. Lu Ming speculated that those people must have been killed by Shakyamuni Annihilating Soul. However, Lu Ming did not think that Shakyamuni Annihilating Soul had already escaped and came here to kill a low-level martial emperor every few days. This was impossible. Dharma King Annihilating Soul? Annihilate Soul? That's right. Could it be that these few people's souls were directly destroyed by someone and died? Lu Ming suddenly had an idea. He thought of this. His eyes revealed a strange light. He felt that this matter was not simple. After a thorough check, the Feng family buried the 3 Feng family heads and returned to the hall. Su Long, Fu Xing, and the others frowned, but they did not find any clues either. Strange, there's no wound at all. Could it be that the soul was directly destroyed? Su Long said solemnly. The others didn't say anything. It was a very big deal. If the other party has a grudge against the Feng family and is here to seek revenge, then the next target is likely to be you, young Master Feng. Fu Xing's words made Feng Yi's face turn even paler. What should we do? Esteemed envoys, please save me. Whatever you want. Even if the Feng family has to go bankrupt, I will do my best to satisfy you. Feng Yi begged. Yes, don't worry. Since I've accepted this mission, I'll definitely complete it and ensure your safety. Su Long said. How about we take turns to protect young Master Feng? Junior brother Lu Ming and junior brother Zhang Kong will form a team. I will form a team with Fu Xing, and senior brother Su Long will form a team alone. What do you think? Duan Yan's eyes turned as she spoke. I have no objections. Fu Xing smiled. Lu Ming's eyebrows moved slightly. This grouping was interesting. Among the 5 of them, he and Zhang Kong had the lowest cultivation, but they were placed together. This didn't make sense. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth gradually curled into a smile. The mission this time was very strange to begin with. Among the 5 of them, Su Long, Fu Xing, and Duan Yan were all at the 3rd level of the martial royal realm, while he was only at the 1st level. Such an arrangement was unreasonable to begin with. Logically speaking, since there were 3rd-level martial emperors like Su Long, Fu Xing, and Duan Yan in the team, it meant that this mission could only be completed with a cultivation at the 3rd level of the martial emperor realm. So what was the meaning of putting him, a 1st-level martial emperor, in there? Could it be that someone was controlling this mission? Or perhaps someone had deliberately arranged for Su Long, Fu Xing, and Duan Yan to come in? Lu Ming thought of Yinfeng and Hiyu. With Yinfeng's status, it was still possible for him to deal with him in a mission. Chapter 1458. 1458. Who do you think you are? He had thought of this situation when he saw Su Long and the others, but Duan Yan's arrangement reminded him. All right, I have no objections. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind, and he agreed immediately. Zhang Kong thought for a while and nodded in agreement. All right, let's do it this way. If the other party is really seeking revenge, then their next target will definitely be young Master Feng. As long as the other party appears, they will be unable to escape even if they have wings. Su Long announced. Since that night, Everyone took turns to guard Feng Yi's bedroom. On the first day, it was Lu Ming and Zhang Kong. On the second day, it was Fu Xing and Duan Yan. On the third day it was Su Long. That night, everything was calm and peaceful. It was the same on the second and third days. 6 days passed in the blink of an eye. On the seventh day, it was Lu Ming and Zhang Kong's turn again. The night sky was quiet, and the cold wind was howling. Lu Ming sat cross-legged in a hidden corner. He concealed his aura and spread out his spiritual sense, covering the entire Feng family mansion. On the other side it was Zhang Kong. Very soon it was late at night. Suddenly, a shadow flashed across the night sky. Buzz! At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly opened his eyes and dashed out. He was as fast as lightning and pounced on the shadow. On the other side, Zhang Kong had obviously sensed it too. He pounced at the same time as Lu Ming. Whoosh! The shadow seemed to know that it had been discovered and quickly rushed out at an amazing speed. 3 figures rushed out of the Feng family mansion one after the other and rushed toward the 6th Void Mountain. The 6th Sky Mountain was extremely huge. There were countless dangerous peaks, and the terrain was extremely complicated. As soon as the shadow rushed out of the Feng family mansion, it rushed into the 6th Kong Mountain. He couldn't see his opponent's figure at all from high up in the sky. He could only chase after his opponent by rushing into the 6th Sky Mountain. Lu Ming and Zhang Kong rushed into the 6th Kong Mountain one after another. They locked onto each other with their auras and chased after each other. However, the other party's speed was astonishing, and he seemed to be very familiar with the 6th Kong Mountain's terrain. He turned left and right in the 6th Kong Mountain, and the two of them could not catch up with him at all. "Oh, go to the front and block them. You chase after them." Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Zhang Kong. He then took to the air and flew high up into the sky. The black wings on his back stretched out. With a flap, Lu Ming flew forward at an extreme speed, his speed suddenly increasing by a few times. Lu Ming had to rush to the front to block the other party and leave them no way out. However, at this moment, a shrill scream came from the vast mountains below. It was Zhang Kong. Lu Ming's expression changed. He swooped down and rushed toward the source of the sound. Bang! Lu Ming landed in a valley. The sound had come from here, but there was no one there. "There's blood." Lu Ming saw fresh blood. Based on the smell of the blood, it was Zhang Kong's. But there was only blood, no one. Lu Ming spread out his spiritual consciousness, but he could not sense anything. Not only did the person from before disappear, even Zhang Kong's aura had disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming frowned. It had only been a short while, and both the other party and Zhang Kong had disappeared without a trace. It was too strange. Lu Ming speculated that the other party was definitely very familiar with the 6th Kong Mountain. He might even have a secret hideout nearby. Lu Ming started to search the vicinity. However, after searching for a while, he still found nothing. Lu Ming speculated that Zhang Kong was most likely dead. Lu Ming had no choice but to return to the Feng family. As soon as he returned to the Feng residence, he saw a group of people waiting at the main entrance. Feng Yi and the other experts of the Feng clan, Su Long, Fu Xing, and Duan Yin were all there, protecting Feng Yi in the middle. At the sight of Lu Ming's return, everyone's eyes lit up. "Junior brother Lu Ming, how is it? Did you catch the murderer?" Su Long asked. Lu Ming shook his head. "No. The other party is very familiar with the 6th Kong Mountain area. They didn't catch up." Did he not catch up? Where is junior brother Zhang Kong?" Duan Yin asked, frowning. "Zhang Kong is probably dead," Lu Ming said, and told him about how they had chased after the shadow. "That can't be right." After Lu Ming finished speaking, Duan Yin spoke coldly and stared at Lu Ming with an unfriendly gaze. "What's wrong?" Lu Ming said. "You said that he was severely injured and even killed junior brother Zhang Kong in an instant. But when you went to search for him, you couldn't find any trace of him. This place is wrong. How could he have disappeared so quickly? Second, you said that you have searched around, but did not find junior brother Zhang Kong or the other party. Junior brother Zhang Kong is at the peak of the 2nd level martial emperor realm, but the other party could severely injure or even kill him. You are only at the 1st level martial emperor realm. Why didn't the other party continue to attack you?" Instead, he let you check around and let you come back. Why didn't he kill you as well? Duan Yin asked indifferently. At the side, the others also revealed doubtful expressions. You're suspecting me? Lu Ming sneered. That's right. You went out with Zhang Kong. Zhang Kong, who had a higher cultivation, died, but you didn't. I suspect that you're afraid of death. When you saw Zhang Kong in danger, you didn't help him and ran back alone. You even killed Zhang Kong. You wanted to take his treasures, didn't you? Duan Yin scolded loudly, her eyes flashing with a cunning look. Lu Ming, is this the case? Fu Xing was also staring at Lu Ming with an unfriendly expression. Are they going to launch an attack? Lu Ming sneered in his heart. Duan Yin and Fu Xing indeed had a purpose. They were deliberately going against him. These two people were most likely from Yinfeng. This is ridiculous. You want to punish someone, but you can't find any excuse. Just say it. Lu Ming said calmly. Now that I've hit the nail on the head, you have nothing to say. You're a suspect now. You'd better seal your cultivation and let us guard you. When the mission is over, we'll take you back to Dragon God Valley to accept your punishment. Duan Yin said. Hee, sealing your own cultivation? All right, come over here. You'll see if you can seal me off. Lu Ming sneered. A cold, murderous intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. If he sealed his cultivation, the other party would be able to deal with him however they wanted. How could Lu Ming seal his cultivation? It was simply laughable. You want to resist? Duan Yin said coldly. Previously, she had heard that although Lu Ming had just broken through to the martial royal realm, his combat strength was shocking. In the great emperor secret realm, even geniuses like he were not his match. Although her cultivation level was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's, she was not confident that she could defeat him. Nonsense. If I say you're guilty and kneel down, will you? Lu Ming sneered. You're the most suspicious of Zhang Kong's death today. You have to give us an explanation. Duan Yin berated. Explanation? Who do you think you are? Why do I need to give you an explanation? Lu Ming said in disdain. This made Duan Yin and Fu Xing's faces turn ugly. All right, today's incident might not be junior brother Lu Ming's fault. Duan Yin, stop making wild guesses. Our top priority now is to find the murderer and complete this mission, Su Long said, trying to smooth things over. Chapter 1459. 1459. The head of the Feng family is not dead since Su Long had stepped in. Duan Yin and Fu Xing seemed to be rather afraid of him. They cast a cold glance at Lu Ming and walked to the side, not asking further. We can basically confirm that the other party is here for revenge. Their next target is young Master Feng. Su Long spoke again, causing Feng Yi's face to turn pale. My esteemed envoys, you must save me. Feng Yi cried out, his face filled with fear. Don't worry. Judging from the previous situation, the other party only wants to launch a sneak attack at night, which means that they aren't very strong and are afraid of us. This will make things easier. Right now we need to lure them over. Su Long said. Attract? How do we attract them? Feng Yi said. Well, set up a formation around young Master Feng's bedroom. Once the other party steps into the formation, they'll be caught in the wind. Su Long said with confidence. Feng Yi's eyes lit up. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? The Feng family also has a few 9th-grade alchemists. They can set up the array together. I also cultivate the Tao of Inscription, so I can help you. Duan Yin stepped out and said. Lu Ming only listened. There was a faint glint in the depths of his eyes. He did not say anything, nor did he say that he would help set up the array. Now he was almost done with his second body, and was cultivating in the mountain and river diagram. All right, let's get started, Su Long said. Immediately, the Feng family's inscription masters and Duan Yin set up a large array in Feng Yi's bedroom. They used various concealment arrays to hide the aura of the large array. If one did not observe carefully, one would not be able to see the array. He was busy all the way until the next night, before he finally finished setting up the formation. That night, Lu Ming and the rest did not stay near Feng Yi's bedroom. Instead, they went back to their rooms to rest. If they stayed near Feng Yi, they would only alert the enemy. After 2 days, there was still no movement. Until late at night on the 3rd day. Help! Suddenly, a cry for help broke the silence of the night. It was Feng Yi. Buzz! Lu Ming, who was cultivating, suddenly opened his eyes and rushed out. As soon as he rushed out, he saw a figure rising up from Feng Yi's bedroom. This figure was still holding Feng Yi in his hand as he flew toward the Sixth Void Mountain. Chase! At that moment, Su Long, Fu Xing, and Duan Yin appeared and chased after the figure at top speed. Lu Ming did the same. One was chasing, and the other was escaping. In the blink of an eye, they had rushed into the Sixth Void Mountain. As soon as they rushed into the range of the Sixth Kong Mountain, the other party swooped down and rushed into the forest. Lu Ming and the other three followed closely behind and rushed into the forest. Help! Feng Yi shouted. In the night sky, Lu Ming and the rest could clearly see that the figure in front of them was wearing a loose black robe. He grabbed Feng Yi and continued to move forward at an extremely fast speed. In the dark forest, he was like a ghost. You can't escape today. Surrender! Su Long shouted. The genuine vitality in his body surged, and his speed became faster and faster. In the blink of an eye, the group of them had traveled thousands of miles in the Sixth Kong Mountain. Lu Ming and the rest were getting closer and closer to the black-robed man. Stop! At this moment, Lu Ming shouted loudly. Su Long, Duan Yin, and Fu Xing were startled and could not help but stop. Lu Ming, what are you doing? What's the meaning of this? Duan Yin berated Lu Ming. What is it called? You'll know when you see that person. Lu Ming said indifferently. Duan Yin and the others looked forward and were stunned. That was because the black-robed man had stopped running. That was strange. Why did the black-robed man stop when Lu Ming stopped instead of seizing the opportunity to escape? Su Long, Duan Yin, and Fu Xing were all confused. Because there's a killing formation in front of us. Once we step in, we'll die for sure. Lu Ming said. What? Absolute kill formation? Su Long and the other two's faces changed dramatically. Duan Yin observed carefully and said, That's impossible. There's no trace of an array in front of us. It's impossible for there to be a big array. If there really is a big array, how can I not see it? Lu Ming, don't talk nonsense here. Oh, if you don't believe me, you can try. Lu Ming sneered. Duan Yan's expression changed. Seeing that Lu Ming was so certain, she was skeptical and did not dare to go forward. She would not joke around with her life. Su Long and Fu Xing were both suspicious. Hee, I didn't expect that the array would be so well hidden that you could find it. You are indeed the disciples of Dragon God Valley. The black-robed man in front of him sneered, his voice hoarse and unpleasant. Who are you? The Feng family is a subsidiary family of the Dragon God Valley. If you dare to kill the Feng family's people, you're going against the Dragon God Valley. I'll give you a chance now. Let Feng Yi go. Su Long said coldly. Hee Dragon God Valley disciple, how impressive. The black-robed man sneered. Hee stop pretending. At this moment Lu Ming sneered. You've been setting this up since the moment we stepped into the Feng family. No, from the moment you asked for help from Dragon God Valley. You've been setting this up. Your purpose was to lure us here, and into the formation. Am I right, Feng family head? What? Lu Ming's words left Su Long, Duan Yin, and Fu Xing dumbfounded. Feng family head. How is that possible? Lu Ming, what nonsense are you talking about? The Feng family, we saw it with our own eyes, they are dead. Duan Yin berated. Who said that the one we saw was the real Feng family head? Lu Ming smiled faintly. This, Su Long, Duan Yin, and the others fell silent. Indeed, who said that the person they saw was the Feng family head? If the person they saw was not the Feng family head, then wasn't Feng Yi? The few of them looked coldly at Feng Yi. At this moment, the black-robed man had already put Feng Yi down, and Feng Yi was not injured at all. I didn't expect that you would be able to see through it, even though it was so well hidden. The black-robed man suddenly sighed and took off the hood on his head. The pupils of Su Long, Duan Yin and Fu Xing shrank. It was indeed the Feng family head. He looked exactly the same as the Feng family head they saw when they opened the coffin and examined the corpse. In that case, the one they saw when they opened the coffin and examined the corpse was really fake. In the world of martial Dao, it was very easy to change a person's muscles, bones, and appearance through special means. The world of martial Dao recognized people mainly by their aura and appearance. They could change, but their aura would never change. However, they had never seen the Feng family head before, so they naturally did not know his aura. Therefore, it was easy for the Feng family to find a fake person to impersonate the Feng family head. Young man, my plan was flawless. I really want to know how you found out. The Feng family master looked at Lu Ming with a curious look, but he did not panic. Flawless? Hee, in my opinion, it's full of flaws. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Chapter 1460. 1460 The Feng family's trap. It's full of flaws, impossible. The Feng family head's eyes turned cold. How could his carefully arranged plan be full of flaws? If you want to hear it, then I'll tell you so that you can die in peace. First, we found the first flaw in the autopsy. Lu Ming said. Are there any flaws in the autopsy? It's impossible. The one who spoke was not the Feng family head, but Feng Yi. Su Long, Duan Yan and Fu Xing also looked puzzled. They opened the coffins and examined them carefully, but found nothing. There were no wounds on the three people, so they could not find any clues. What's the flaw? Lu Ming, you'd better not talk nonsense. Duan Yan sneered. Shut up. If you're stupid, then listen to me. Lu Ming cast a cold glance at Duan Yan and berated her. You. Duan Yan's beautiful face was flushed red. Lu Ming actually called her stupid. Alright, I'll listen to junior brother Lu Ming. Su Long tried to smooth things over. According to my deduction, the three people who died in the Feng family, the second master and the third master, were all killed. Moreover, the one who killed them was you, right, Feng family head? Lu Ming said. The Feng family head smiled coldly and did not answer directly. But they were your family after all. You felt guilty for killing them and using them for your scheme. So when you buried them, you dressed them up carefully. So after they were buried, they were neatly and meticulously dressed. However, although the body of the Feng family's head seemed to be neatly dressed, it was not meticulous. Some parts seemed to be casual, which explains a lot of problems. If that person was really the Feng family head, then why didn't he bury him meticulously like the second master and third master? That's impossible. It can only mean that the Feng family head is a fake. That's why Feng Yi wasn't as careful when he was buried. Lu Ming explained slowly. You Feng Yi's eyes widened. Lu Ming said that in his heart. In fact, this was indeed the case. Master Feng's eyes also revealed a look of surprise. At such a young age, your observation skills are so meticulous. It's really admirable. Even I didn't expect this. This fellow. On the side, Su Long, Duan Yan, and Fu Xing had to admit that they had not thought of this either. There's one more thing. 3 days ago, a black shadow lured Zhang Kong and I out. I guess you wanted to take us down one by one. But you're too familiar with the terrain of the Lukong mountain. After you attacked Zhang Kong, you disappeared in a few breaths. I guess there must be a secret passage or something nearby. This makes me wonder if this person is from the Feng family. Otherwise, how could he be so familiar with the nearby area? The third point is what happened just now. We clearly set up a formation in Feng Yi's bedroom, but you were able to easily take Feng Yi away from the formation. It's obvious that Feng Yi is in cahoots with you. He's in cahoots with you. Then your identity is obvious. Who else could it be other than the Feng family head? You've been planning this step by step to lure us here. Or rather, you've only wanted to kill us. But I'm very curious, why do you want to kill us? We are disciples of Dragon God Valley. Lu Ming explained in detail, and then asked his question. You want to kill us? The Feng family is really bold. In my opinion, the Feng family should cease to exist in the future. Duan Yan said coldly. Ha ha ha. What can you do even if you know? So what if he didn't step into the formation? Today, you will all die. The Feng family head laughed. Boom. Then a terrifying aura rose from the Feng family head. The aura of a peak LV4 martial royal realm. How come your cultivation is at the peak of the 4th level martial royal realm? Su Long, Duan Yan, and Fu Xing were all shocked. According to the information, the Feng family master's cultivation was only at the LV3 martial emperor realm. Moreover, he was only a LV3 martial emperor from a small family. His combat strength could not be compared with the disciples of a big sect like Dragon God Valley. Therefore, they had not taken it seriously at first. But now, the Feng family head's aura was actually at the peak of the LV4 martial royal realm. Buzz, buzz, and MBSB whoosh. At this moment, 8 figures appeared in the forest and surrounded Lu Ming and the rest. These 8 elders had extremely shocking auras. They were all at the LV3 martial royal realm. There are so many LV3 martial royal realm experts. How is this possible? Duan Yin exclaimed. According to the records, the Feng clan's clan head had the highest cultivation at the LV3 martial royal realm. The other elders were usually at LV2 martial royal realm. The Feng family was not a top sect in the Tsang region like the Dragon God Valley. The Feng family was just a small family in the Sixkong Mountain. Naturally, the number of masters could not be compared with the Dragon God Valley. In Dragon God Valley, there were plenty of martial emperors. Even those at LV4 martial emperor realm and above could be found in large numbers. However, a small clan like the Feng clan naturally did not have so many martial emperors. But now, 8 LV3 martial royal realm elders had appeared all of a sudden, which was not in line with the records. Su Long, Duan Yin, and Fu Xing's faces turned ugly. Today all of you will die. The Feng family head's face was extremely cold. He exuded a cold killing intent, and his powerful aura enveloped Lu Ming and the other 3. Kill, the Feng family head suddenly shouted, and his figure pounced towards the 4 people. I'll deal with him. Die. Su Long roared, and the aura of a peak LV3 martial royal realm expert burst out from his body. He unleashed his territory and charged toward the Feng family head. Thump! The 2 of them exchanged a blow. Su Long's figure retreated continuously, but he managed to block it in the end. At this moment, the 8 elders of the Feng family also made their move and charged toward Fu Xing and Duan Yin. As for Lu Ming, he was only a first-level martial emperor. They did not take him seriously. The scene was in a chaotic battle. Su Long and the Feng family master were fighting. There was no doubt that the disciples of Dragon God Valley were better than the small families in all aspects. Their combat power was stronger. Duan Yin and Fu Xing joined hands, and actually managed to temporarily resist the 8 old men, although they were at a disadvantage. Su Long, on the other hand, was at a complete disadvantage against the Feng family master. After all, Su Long's cultivation was 1 level lower than his opponent's. Su Long was not a peerless genius who could fight above his level. Therefore, although his combat strength was strong, he was suppressed by the Feng family master. Die! The Feng family's master was surrounded by a black light, and he kept pressing toward Su Long. Su Long spat out a mouthful of blood. Hee brat, you're dead this time. You're just a LV1 martial emperor. Let me deal with you. Feng Yi appeared behind Lu Ming, his aura locked onto Lu Ming. Peak LV2 martial royal realm. Is that so? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Kill. At this moment, Su Long suddenly roared, and the aura on his body suddenly soared. The 4th level of the martial emperor realm. Chapter 1461. 1461 Chapter 1461 Soul-shaking bell. At this moment, Su Long suddenly burst out the aura of a LV4 martial emperor. Although he was only at the early stage of the LV4 martial emperor realm, he was finally able to fight the Feng family head to a draw with his powerful combat strength. Did he hide his cultivation level? There was a flash of light in Lu Ming's eyes. Su Long had been hiding his cultivation all this time, but now he had no choice but to reveal it. Su Long's outburst shocked the Feng family. Feng Yi's eyes were cold. Kid, I'll kill you first. Then, I'll think of a way to deal with the others. Die. Feng Yi's pitch-black claws were aimed at Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming threw a punch at Feng Yi's claw. With a crack, Feng Yi's claw was twisted and deformed. The bones in his hand were shattered by Lu Ming's punch. Feng Yi let out a shrill scream. Boom. Lu Ming threw another punch at Feng Yi's dantian. A terrifying force exploded and destroyed Feng Yi's dantian in an instant. Feng Yi's figure was like a kite with a broken string. He flew a few hundred meters away and crashed into a small hill. He was no longer breathing. Although Feng Yi's cultivation was at the peak of the second-level martial emperor realm, there was still a big gap between his combat strength and that of the disciples of the Dragon God Valley, not to mention the geniuses like He Yu and Wang Xiao. In Lu Ming's hands, he could not even put up a fight. Ear and MBSP kill. The Feng family had roared, his berserk killing intent erupting. Kill that brat. The Feng family had roared. Brat die. One of the elders who had been surrounding Duan Yen and Fu Xing pounced toward Lu Ming. A palm print as black as ink, and with a foul smell came crashing toward Lu Ming. Kill. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The chaos domain covered his entire body as he cast the prison-suppressing heaven technique and threw a punch. The fist force crushed over, and the stench was swept away. Bang! The fist and the palm collided, and a shocking fluctuation burst out. Then, the old man grunted and his body shook violently. He was sent flying by Lu Ming. He was in the air and blood seeped out of his mouth. Buzz! Lu Ming's figure moved, and he rushed towards his opponent. He waved his fists continuously, and dozens of fist forces flooded towards his opponent. The other party roared and tried his best to resist. However, under Lu Ming's storm-like fist force, he seemed to be vulnerable. When the fist force dissipated, the old man was also smashed into pieces. The fact that a third-level martial emperor was killed by Lu Ming in an instant shocked everyone. This Lu Ming is really so powerful. Duan Yen and Fu Xing's eyes flickered, and no one knew what they were thinking. Junior brother Lu Ming, come and help me kill this man. Su Long roared. All right. Lu Ming nodded and dashed toward the battlefield between Su Long and the Feng family head. Boom. The air buzzed as he threw a punch, and the terrifying force of the punch headed toward the Feng family head. After exchanging a blow with Lu Ming, the Feng family head trembled and actually took a step back. How can a LV1 martial royal realm expert be so powerful? He must be the peerless genius of Dragon God Valley. A look of shock flashed through the eyes of the Feng family head. Kill! Su Long also launched a fierce attack. Under the joint attack of Lu Ming and Su Long, the Feng family head was at a disadvantage. Ding-ling-ling. At this moment, a black bell floated above the Feng family head and rang. An invisible fluctuation spread out. Lu Ming felt his spiritual god tremble slightly as it was attacked by an invisible force. The sound of the bell could actually attack the spiritual god. To be more precise, it could attack the soul within the spiritual god. However, Lu Ming's soul was very powerful. Moreover, the spiritual god was wearing a jade armor. At this time, the jade armor was emitting a layer of light that enveloped the spiritual god. Lu Ming's spiritual god only trembled slightly and was fine. On the other hand, Su Long's expression changed drastically. His body trembled and his face turned pale. Kill, kill. The Feng family had seized the opportunity and launched a fierce attack on Lu Ming and Su Long. Lu Ming threw out 2 punches and blocked his opponent's attack. However, Su Long's body trembled, and a trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Junior brother Lu Ming, stop this person first. I'll help junior sister Duan Yen, and the rest kill those people. Then I'll come and help you. At this moment, Su Long bellowed and retreated, leaving the Feng family head to Lu Ming alone, exposing Lu Ming to the Feng family head's attack. Haha! It seems that the disciples of Dragon God Valley are also scheming against each other. Then you shall die first. The Feng family head sneered. The bell above his head jingled and invisible waves surged toward Lu Ming. At the same time his palm, which was as black as ink and gave off a disgusting smell, was aimed at Lu Ming. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. However, he did not say much. His essential core exploded, and he fought with the other party. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had exchanged dozens of moves with the other party. Damn it! Why is my soul-shaking bell useless against this kid? And this kid's combat strength is too strong. The more they fought, the more shocked the Feng family head was. No matter what he did, he could not do anything to Lu Ming. Lu Ming was like a rock in the sea, standing still. On the other side, Su Long rushed to the battlefield where Duan Yen and the others were fighting. With his cultivation of the 4th-level martial emperor realm and his powerful combat strength, he had the upper hand. In a short while, he had killed 3 elders in a row. The situation had completely reversed. Buzz! 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 In Su Long's hand, a combat sword was flying like a dragon with amazing sword chi. Duan Yen and Fu Xing cooperated with Su Long and attacked the remaining 4 old men like a storm. Another old man was cut in half by Su Long's sword. The remaining 3 people were even less of a match for Su Long and the other 2. Let's go. The remaining 3 had no intention of staying. They wanted to escape, but Su Long and the other 2 held them back. Soon after, the one who was fighting with Su Long was also killed by him. The remaining 2 old men were killed by Su Long one after another. The Feng clan's patriarch was the only one left at the scene. Damn it, how did this happen? The Feng family had roared. The combat power of the people from Dragon God Valley this time was beyond his imagination. Based on the difficulty of the mission he issued to Dragon God Valley, he should not have sent a disciple of the Dragon God Valley, who was at the 4th level of the Martial Emperor realm. However, he did not expect that one of the disciples, Su Long, had hidden his cultivation. His own cultivation was at the 4th level of the Martial Emperor realm. Lu Ming's combat strength was even more shocking. He was only at the 1st level of the Martial Royal realm, but he was able to stop him. Moreover, his scheme had been seen through by Lu Ming. Lu Ming and the rest had not stepped into the formation, which led to the current situation. Damn it, I'm going all out. You're courting death. Feng family head's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. He spat out a mouthful of blood onto the bell above his head, causing it to emit a layer of bloody light and ring. Its power increased by a level. Waves of invisible energy gushed toward Lu Ming and attacked his spiritual god. However, they were all blocked by the jade armor. At this moment, Su Long, Duan Yen, and Fu Xing stood aside but did not come to help Lu Ming. Senior brother Su Long, please help us. Let's kill this man together. Lu Ming called out. Chapter 1462. 1462 Chapter 1462. Who's scamming who? However, Su Long was unmoved. He even sneered and said, Junior brother Lu Ming, you've just entered Dragon God Valley. Although you're talented, you don't have enough combat experience. You need more training. We'll leave the Feng family head to you. We'll support you. There's indeed a problem. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and there was a cold glint in his eyes. He originally thought that Duan Yen and Fu Xing had problems, but now it seemed that Su Long also had problems. In the beginning, Su Long had hidden his cultivation level and had ulterior motives. Now, he even asked Lu Ming to deal with the Feng family head alone. He was clearly trying to kill Lu Ming with a borrowed knife and use the Feng family head to deal with Lu Ming. The Feng family had naturally noticed the problem between Lu Ming and the rest. He seized the opportunity and launched a storm of attacks on Lu Ming. He still had a chance to kill Lu Ming. Senior brothers, I can't hold on any longer. Lu Ming shouted. He exchanged a blow with the Feng family head and deliberately retreated to Su Long and the others. Ding ling ling. The Feng family master chased after Lu Ming. The soul-shaking bell vibrated, and invisible waves enveloped Su Long and the other 2. Detestable. Su Long and the other 2 roared in their hearts, but they had no choice but to resist. Thank you for your help, senior brothers. Lu Ming sneered coldly, causing Su Long and the other 2 to turn pale. Ding ling ling. The sound of the bell made Su Long and the other 2's faces turn pale. It was obvious that their spiritual gods had been attacked and were injured. Senior brother Su Long, we must take him down as soon as possible. Duan Yen said. If this continued, their souls would suffer a lot of injuries. Physical injuries were easy to recover, but soul injuries were hard to recover. The price of spirit herbs that could recover the soul was shockingly high. Attack with all your might. Su Long said. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A bright sword light bloomed from Su Long's hand and shot toward the Feng family master. Duan Yen and Fu Xing fully cooperated with Su Long. At this time, Lu Ming deliberately wandered around the Feng family head and occasionally attacked. Junior brother Lu Ming, what are you doing? Why aren't you attacking with all your might and capturing this person? Su Long shouted. I can't. Just now, I blocked it alone, and my vitality was greatly damaged. My spirit is weak, and I don't have any strength left. I need to recover slowly. Lu Ming was making up nonsense. Su Long's expression turned ugly. He knew that Lu Ming was taking revenge for not attacking them earlier. If Lu Ming did not put in any effort, Su Long and the other two could not take down the Feng family head at once. As time passed, their faces turned paler and paler. It was obvious that their souls were severely injured. This kind of soul injury would take a few years to heal. Damn it! Su Long, Duan Yen, and Fu Xing roared in their hearts. It was all Lu Ming's fault. If Lu Ming had cooperated with them and attacked with all his might, he would have taken down the Feng family's family head long ago. How could their souls be injured? In the blink of an eye, dozens of moves had passed. It's almost time. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a smile. Black wings suddenly appeared on his back, and he slashed horizontally. Bang! The black wing was a holy weapon. How could the Feng family head resist it? He was swept away by the black wing. He fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Buzz! Lu Ming's figure flashed, and he appeared in front of the Feng family head. He slapped the Feng family head 9 times in a row, sealing his essential core. The Feng family head immediately fell to the ground. Holy weapon! Su Long, Duan Yen, and Fu Xing's eyes revealed fear. Lu Ming, why didn't you use your holy weapon earlier? Duan Yen glared at Lu Ming and shouted. Do you think you can use a saint weapon just because you want to? It consumes a lot of true essence. I used too much true essence to resist the Feng family head just now, so I've only recovered a little. Lu Ming casually explained. However, Lu Ming's eyes were bright, and his breathing was stable. He did not look like he was running out of essential core. He was clearly lying. However, they did not help Lu Ming just now. They could not refute Lu Ming's words, and could not voice their grievances. A cold light flashed in the depths of Su Long's eyes. Then he smiled and said, I believe that junior brother Lu Ming has given it his all. Now that the Feng family head has been captured, let's ask him why he wants to kill us. Then they walked to the Feng family head. Old man, tell me, why do you want to kill us? If you don't tell me the truth, I'll skin you alive and make you beg for death. Duan Yin said ruthlessly, her eyes full of resentment. Her soul had been injured by the Feng family head, and it would take a few years to recover. She really wanted to skin the Feng family head alive. AI, if you set up everything and everything is lost, I'll say it, I'll confess everything. The Feng family head sighed, looking a little down and out. Everything starts from an ancient ruin that I accidentally discovered. The Feng family head sighed again. An ancient ruin? The eyes of Su Long, Duan Yen, and the others suddenly lit up. Usually, when it came to ancient ruins, there was a high chance that treasures would appear, and it would be a great opportunity. That's right. When I was in the Six Kong Mountain, I accidentally stumbled into an ancient cave abode, and obtained a cultivation technique from there. It requires the blood and soul of others to cultivate, and my cultivation can improve by leaps and bounds. The Feng family head said, No wonder your cultivation is different from the records. You've reached LV4 Martial Royal Realm. Su Long said, obviously believing him. That's right, I've cultivated that cultivation technique. Furthermore, according to the records in that cultivation technique, the younger a heaven's favorite is, the more effective their blood and soul will be, and the faster their cultivation will improve. The Feng family head said. So, you plan to attract the disciples of Dragon God Valley to kill you, and use their blood and souls to cultivate. Su Long said. Not bad. The Feng family head nodded. How dare you? Aren't you afraid that your entire clan will be killed? Duan Yin berated. Ha ha ha. If my plan had succeeded, I would have killed all of you and my cultivation would have improved greatly. By then, I would have taken all the treasures in the ancient ruins and left the Tsang region. The Yuan continent is so vast, how could the Dragon God Valley find us? It's a pity that we failed at the last step, and were defeated by a first-level martial emperor. The Feng family laughed. You're saying that there are more treasures in the ancient ruins? Duan Yin caught on to the Feng family head's words, her eyes filled with greed. It was the same for Su Long and Fu Xing, not bad. The Feng family head nodded. Quickly bring us there. Duan Yin said anxiously. No, unless you promise to let me go. Don't expect me to take you there. Without me, you can't find the sixth void mountain. The Feng family head said. If you don't, I'll kill you right now. Duan Yan's eyes were cold, and a cold killing intent enveloped the Feng family head. Buzz! Su Long pointed the long sword in his hand at the Feng family head's neck and said, Bring us there or we'll die right now. If there really is an ancient ruin, I promise to let you go. You will really let me go, unless you discover the blood oath. The Feng family head said. Whoosh! Su Long's long sword shook, and a sword chi burst out, cutting off one of the Feng family master's ears. Nonsense, I'll do what I say. If you go overboard, you'll die now. Su Long's voice was cold. Chapter 1463. 1463 Chapter 1463 Falling into a trap again in the end. The Feng family head had no choice but to nod and agreed to take Su Long and the others to the ancient ruins. Let's go, you point the way, Su Long said as he carried the Feng family head. To the east, the Feng family head pointed out the direction. Lu Ming and the rest rose into the air and flew in the direction pointed out by the Feng family head. They flew all the way to the depths of the sixth void mountain. After flying for more than 100,000 miles, they finally landed in a remote canyon. They came to a cave in the depths of the canyon. This cave was indeed very well hidden. If one were to search slowly, it would not be easy to find. This ancient ruin is an ancient cave mansion. It's very big inside. I guess it's a place where a peerless expert secludes himself. The Feng family head said. Su Long's eyes flashed with greed as he said, You better be telling the truth. Otherwise, you know the consequences. I'm telling the truth. I got my bell from this cave abode. The Feng family head said. His words made Su Long, Duan Yan, and Fu Xing more convinced. That bell was indeed extremely wondrous and could harm one's soul. Such a treasure was very difficult to buy in the outside world. On the way, Su Long kept it without any hesitation. He did not even bother to ask Lu Ming, the person who had defeated the Feng family head. Lu Ming did not say a word along the way. He just followed the crowd. If you're worried, I can lead the way. My cultivation has been sealed anyway, so I can't escape. The Feng family head said. All right, you lead the way. Su Long put the Feng family master down. The Feng family master immediately stepped into the cave. Su Long, Duan Yan, and Fu Xing quickly followed, as if they were afraid that the treasure inside would be taken by others. Lu Ming was the last to enter. After entering the cave, there was a narrow passage. After going in for about a few hundred meters, they saw a faint light. After walking through the passage, the front suddenly opened up. It was a huge underground cave. There were gemstones on the surrounding walls, which emitted a faint radiance. The Feng family head revealed a sinister smile on his face, as he suddenly strode forward and knelt down. Your subordinate greets Elder Emo Hun. The Feng family had repeatedly kowtowed to a figure. A figure? Lu Ming, and the few of them were shocked. And NBSB only now did they notice that there was a figure sitting cross-legged in the middle of the cave. It was an old man who looked extremely old. There were only a few strands of white hair left on his head. The skin on his face was shriveled and wrinkles piled up like mountains. There seemed to be no flesh or blood on his body. He was like a skeleton sitting there. However, his eyes were strangely dark. He stared at Lu Ming and the rest, revealing a deep desire. There was actually someone else in this ancient cave mansion. It was a skeleton-like old man. You've done well. The skeletal old man let out an ear-piercing and unpleasant smile. Many thanks for Elder's praise. This is what this subordinate should do. The Feng family had said in a flattering manner. What's going on? Lu Ming and the rest retreated slowly, while Duan Yin berated them loudly. We've been tricked, Lu Ming said in a deep voice. Tricked? Duan Yin was stunned. Feng family head. His purpose is probably to bring us here. He told us to go around him before, so he brought us here. It was all an act. Lu Ming said. Ha ha boy, you're really smart. That's right, I was pretending. My purpose was to bring you here and offer you to Elder Emo Hun as a sacrifice. It would be better if I could capture you and bring you here. If I couldn't, I could trick you into coming here. The Feng family had laughed. Fake. The ancient ruins were all fake. The Feng family head's goal was to bring them here. Guys, look over there. Duan Yin suddenly pointed behind the skeletal old man, her voice trembling. Lu Ming and the rest looked over and were shocked. There was a pile of bones there. No, to be precise, it was a pile of dried corpses. It was the same after he was devoured by Lu Ming's devouring power. This person wants to use us to recover, Duan Yin said in a trembling voice. At this point, how could they not guess the other party's goal? That would be really stupid. It was obvious that the old man was injured and wanted to use them to recover. Who are you? We are the disciples of Dragon God Valley. If you kill us, the powerhouses of Dragon God Valley will not let you go. Duan Yin shouted. Hee, Dragon God Valley? I don't know how many I killed 80,000 years ago. The skeletal old man sneered. His words made Su Long feel like he had fallen into an ice cellar. 80,000 years ago. This old man had lived for at least 80,000 years. It was impossible for a martial emperor to live that long. This meant that the old man was a Saint stage powerhouse. They had actually encountered a Saint realm expert. Let's go. Duan Yin and Fu Xing turned around and ran. Die! Die! The skeletal old man suddenly shouted. Then a shocking scene appeared. Duan Yan's and Fu Xing's bodies suddenly stiffened and stopped in the air. Then, they fell down softly, without the slightest trace of vitality. The two of them were killed by the old man's shouts. They did not even see how the old man had attacked. Duan Yin and Fu Xing did not even have any injuries on them. Su Long's body trembled violently, and he broke out in a cold sweat. Boom! At this moment, a vast aura rose from the skeletal elder's body. This aura was as deep as the ocean, as if it was a world, as if it was the laws of heaven and earth. It was the aura of a sage. Plop! Su Long immediately knelt down and kowtowed like garlic. He begged, Senior, please spare me. As long as Senior can spare this junior's dog life, this junior will repay Senior's kindness, even if I have to go through fire and water. Even if I have to work like a cow or a horse. Even Lu Ming was a little speechless. Su Long was so scared of the skeleton elder's aura that he knelt down and begged for mercy. He did not have the dignity of a warrior at all. Hee, if you want me to spare you, that's fine. But relax your mind. I'll engrave a restriction on your soul. If you obey me completely in the future, I can spare you. The skeletal elder's aura quickly receded, and his shriveled voice continued. Su Long's face turned completely pale, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness. If the other party were to inscribe a restriction on their soul, then they would have to completely obey the other party for the rest of their lives, becoming their slave. However, if he did not agree, the other party was a sage. Did he not see how Duan Yin and Fu Xing died with a loud shout just now? What's wrong? I'm telling you, I'm an elder of the evil spirit holy church. It's a great fortune for you to join my cult. The skeletal old man sneered. What? You're an elder of evil spirit? Hearing this, Su Long's face changed dramatically. His face was filled with endless fear, as if he had heard something extremely terrible. Chapter 1464. 1464 Chapter 1464 Evil Spirit. After hearing the skeletal elder's words, Su Long's face was filled with fear. At this moment, he kowtowed without any hesitation and said loudly, Junior is willing to join Senior and the evil spirit cult. The evil spirit holy church? Lu Ming frowned slightly. He had never heard of this force before. So why was Su Long so terrified when he heard this name? Su Long's fear came from the depths of his heart. It was not an act. It meant that Su Long was really terrified when he heard the name Evil Spirit. Lu Ming guessed that the Evil Spirit sect might be a big sect outside of the Azure region. Hee, at least you know what's good for you. Relax. The skeletal elder sneered. A ray of black light shot out from his brow and disappeared into Su Kong's body. Su Long's face immediately showed respect to the skeletal elder. Your subordinate Su Long will definitely die for you in the future. Kid, what about you? Why don't you relax your mind and join this old man? As long as you help this old man trick more people, this old man will definitely reward you heavily in the future. The skeletal old man said, He's willing to be your lackey, but I'm not in the mood. Lu Ming said calmly. What did you just say? Brat, you're seeking your own death. The skeletal old man coldly shouted. Hee hee, you don't have to scare me. From what I see, you don't have much strength left, right? Lu Ming stared at the skeletal elder and said. The skeletal old man's expression changed slightly. Boy, I'm indeed injured, but I can easily deal with a mere martial emperor. Oh really? In my opinion, it's more like a fox exploiting the tiger's might. When we first came in, you shouted and killed Duan Yen and her companion. That method should have directly destroyed their souls. And then you deliberately released the aura of the Saint Realm to frighten us. But if you really have the strength of the Sage Realm, why do you need to do this? It was too deliberate for you to release the aura of the Sage Realm. Moreover, you needed the Feng family head to lure us here. So, in my opinion, you can't use that kind of method too much, or else your injury will worsen. Also, you can't leave this place, or your injury will worsen. Am I right? Lu Ming retreated slowly and explained. The skeletal old man's gaze changed. Su Long's face also changed. Damn it. This Lu Ming knows so much. Why didn't he say it earlier? Su Long roared in his heart. If Lu Ming had told him earlier, he would not have joined the skeletal elder. He might have escaped if he had taken the risk. Little guy, you're very meticulous, but you still have to die. Su Long, kill him. The skeletal old man instructed. Su Long's expression changed. He had no confidence in dealing with Lu Ming. Elder, although this person's cultivation base is weak. But, Su Long wanted to explain. Kill him, kill. Kill. The skeletal old man coldly shouted. Su Long let out a miserable shriek, as if he was suffering from endless pain. Elder, please spare my life. I will kill him now. Kill him. The skeletal old man said. Lu Ming, go to hell. In the next moment, Su Long pounced on Lu Ming with a ferocious look in his eyes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A terrifying sword radiance bloomed from Su Long's long sword and was aimed at Lu Ming's vital points. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Ming threw a few consecutive punches and broke Su Long's sword gleam. Lu Ming, what's the point of resisting? You're destined to die. Even if you escape back to Dragon God Valley, you'll still die. Yin Feng won't let you off. Su Long roared. You were indeed sent by Yin Feng. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. Su Long had been hiding his cultivation level. When Lu Ming and the Feng family head were fighting, he stood by and watched. Lu Ming had already suspected that Su Long wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. It seemed that it was true. I was looking for an opportunity to kill you when you're not prepared. Haha. But it's the same to kill you now. Su Long seemed to have gone crazy, as he launched a storm of attacks on Lu Ming. He had already surrendered to the evil spirit elder. This matter must not be spread. Otherwise he would die without a doubt. Therefore Lu Ming must die. Kill. At that moment, Lu Ming's third bloodline appeared, and a surge of energy surged into his body. Then, his primal chaos domain burst forth, and he used the prison-suppressing heavenly art to punch Su Long. Boom. This punch directly broke through all of Su Long's defenses. The terrifying fist force bombarded Su Long's chest. Half of his body exploded in the air, and he flew far away. Apart from a few of his trump cards, this punch was almost Lu Ming's full strength. It was enough to kill a LV4 martial emperor. Su Long could not withstand it at all. After killing Su Long with a single move, Lu Ming's black wings appeared. With a flap, he dashed toward the entrance of the tunnel at top speed. Primal Chaos Domain. It's actually the Primal Chaos Domain. I didn't expect that a genius who has comprehended the Primal Chaos Domain would appear in the tiny azure region. Kill, we must kill him. The skeletal elder's eyes were filled with killing intent, and a black light appeared on his forehead. Kill! The skeletal elder suddenly roared. A black ray of light instantly cut through the void, and appeared behind Lu Ming, shooting toward him. Its speed was unbelievably fast, as if it was teleporting. Lu Ming turned pale with fright. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. The ray of light passed through the chaos realm, and shot into Lu Ming's body, heading straight for the spiritual god. Clang! The ray of light landed on the spiritual god. The jade armor on the spiritual god emitted a bright light, and formed a light screen, blocking the black light. Lu Ming's body only trembled slightly as he continued to rush outward at high speed. A spiritual god defensive treasure. There's actually such a rare treasure. Damn it, we can't let this person escape. The skeletal old man growled. Cracking sounds came from his body as he floated into the air. He was like a skeleton that had been sitting cross-legged for thousands of years. Elder, help me release my cultivation, and I'll help you hunt down that brat. The Feng family head called out from the side. There's no point in keeping a piece of trash like you. Die. The skeletal old man's eyes were filled with a cold light. He opened his mouth and sucked, and a layer of black light enveloped the Feng family head. The Feng family head suddenly let out a miserable scream, and his body shriveled up at a speed visible to the naked eye, turning into a dry corpse. Su Long's, Duan Yan's, and Fu Xing's corpses had also turned into mummies. Their flesh and blood essence had all been devoured by the old man. At this time, his skin had a slight luster. Kill! He shouted in a low voice and turned into a black light, rushing out of the cave in pursuit of Lu Ming. Lu Ming flew out of the cave. The energy of the air-frozen bead gushed in. He cast the wind element art and flew wildly into the distance with the black wings. However, he didn't fly very far before he heard a shocking sound behind him. A black ray of light flew over at high speed. This old man actually wants to kill me without caring about his injuries. Lu Ming's face darkened. He flew at his maximum speed. Chapter 1465. 1465 Chapter 1465 Soul Attack. Lu Ming spread his black wings, which were more than 10 meters wide. With one flap, Lu Ming turned into a black lightning bolt and streaked across the void, traveling 100 miles in an instant. This was the Yuan continent. This speed was already extremely shocking. However, Lu Ming realized that the black light behind him was moving faster and was slowly approaching him. Air-frozen bead. Lu Ming increased the influx of energy into the air-frozen bead, and the speed suddenly increased. He could barely keep up with the speed of the old man behind him. The two of them, one chasing and the other escaping, left the range of the Six Kong Mountain in the blink of an eye, and went far away. This chase and escape took half a day. This kid's speed is actually so fast. But to maintain this speed, let's see how long you can last. Behind him, the skeletal old man sneered. As expected, Lu Ming's speed gradually slowed down. To maintain such a speed and fly at full speed, the consumption was too great. The continuous use of the wind elemental technique and the control of the black wings consumed a lot of essential core. Now Lu Ming's essential core was running out. The distance between the skeletal elder and Lu Ming was getting closer. Kid, even though I was severely injured 80,000 years ago and have yet to recover, it's still a piece of cake for me to deal with you. Emir LV1 Martial Emperor Realm Martial Artist. The skeletal old man's voice was unusually cold. Old man, do you really think you can catch me? Lu Ming's voice was still calm. Oh really? I'd like to see what other tricks you have up your sleeve. The skeletal old man sneered. Voila! All of a sudden, a passageway appeared in front of Lu Ming. He stepped into it, and in the next moment, he was thousands of miles away. Space-time domain. This is the space-time domain. The skeletal old man cried out in alarm. That's right. Lu Ming had asked Bubbles to help him open the space-time domain and appear thousands of miles away in an instant, putting some distance between him and the skeletal old man. After putting some distance between them, Lu Ming waved his hand, and a large pile of raw gemstones appeared in the air. A powerful devouring force erupted from Lu Ming's palm and devoured the raw gemstones. He then continued flying, refining the raw gemstones as he flew, replenishing his essential core. Don't even think about escaping. The skeletal old man bellowed in rage. His sunken eye sockets flickered with raging flames. The two of them continued their pursuit. When the skeletal elder closed the distance between them, Lu Ming called for Bubbles to help him open a space-time tunnel. The distance between the two of them widened again. After a few times, the skeletal elder flew into a rage and could not catch up to Lu Ming. No, I can't go on like this. I'm seriously injured, and it's not good for my recovery. I have to take this person down as soon as possible. Besides, he has the help of the space-time spirit rat. Why did it appear again? Now kill it while it's still not strong. The skeletal old man's eyes flickered as he finally gritted his teeth, as if he had made up his mind. Split! The skeletal old man growled. Then, a beam of light split off from his body and entered the space. It disappeared in a flash. However, the skeletal elder's aura had weakened a little. Lu Ming was flying in front of him. Suddenly, there was a fluctuation in the space in front of him. A dark light flashed and a figure appeared. Lu Ming's pupils constricted, and he stopped in his tracks. It was the skeletal elder. The skeletal old man actually appeared in front of Lu Ming. Boom! A powerful aura emanated from the skeletal elder and locked onto Lu Ming. Brat, let's see where you're going to run to now. The skeletal old man sneered. Buzz! Behind him, there was the sound of air being torn. A black light flashed, and another skeletal elder appeared behind Lu Ming. The two men in black surrounded Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming realized that the skeletal elder did not have a lower body at all, only his upper body. The skeletal elder was wearing a loose black robe, which he had not noticed in the cave. Boy, you're not simple. You've comprehended the chaos realm, and have a space-time spirit rat as your companion. I can't let a person like you grow up. Today you'll die. The skeletal old man sneered as a jet-black light shot out from his glabella. The pitch-black light was like a divine sword that shot toward Lu Ming at an unbelievable speed. With a thought, Lu Ming's chaos domain spread out and blocked in front of him. Buzz! The jet-black ray of light shot into the chaos realm and emitted a sizzling sound. However, in the end, the chaos realm weakened a part of its power. The remaining part shot into Lu Ming's body and charged directly at the spiritual god. Thump! The black light struck the spiritual god's jade armor, causing it to shake. In the end, the jade armor blocked the black light, but a small part of the power still passed through the black armor and struck the soul. Lu Ming felt a vibration in his soul, and a numbing itch. What a strange attack. It directly attacks the soul. Fortunately, I have the jade armor and my soul power is extremely strong, so I was able to block it. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Brat, not only do you have a spiritual god defensive treasure, but your soul power is also extremely powerful. Then you should die even more. The killing intent in the skeletal elder's eyes intensified when he saw that his attack could not do anything to Lu Ming. Old man, you were seriously injured tens of thousands of years ago, and have been struggling at death's door for tens of thousands of years. You don't have much strength left. Why don't you find a place to recuperate? You're courting death. On Lu Ming's other shoulder he shouted, Hee hee, even if I'm seriously injured and my strength is reduced to less than 1%, it's more than enough to kill you all. The old man behind sneered. A layer of black light spread out from his body. His body began to turn illusionary, and the black light became more and more intense. Lu Ming's gaze was solemn, and he was on high alert. Although he had been severely injured in the past, he was still a true Saint Stage powerhouse. He could not underestimate any Saint Stage powerhouse. Roar! The elder's body became more and more illusory, and in the end, he turned into a huge black god of death. He held the god of death's scythe, and his killing intent was cold. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. He thought of the dark child of the southern netherworld in the divine wilderness continent. The dark child's bloodline was a death god that could hurt people's souls. Die! The Grim Reaper held a sickle and slashed toward Lu Ming. In front of him the skeleton sneered. His eyes were burning with fire. Two black divine swords shot out from his eyes and went for Lu Ming. Lightning fire! Lu Ming shouted. The chaos realm turned into a lightning realm that filled the sky. At the same time, the lightning realm was burning with raging flames. Apart from some equally terrifying domains, the chaos domain could transform into thousands of domains. According to the cultivation technique that the other party was cultivating, Lu Ming guessed that lightning and fire should be able to restrain the other party. Zzz. The Reaper's scythe and the two black divine swords struck the lightning and fire domain, producing sizzling sounds and black smoke. It was indeed useful. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Break! The skeletal old man shouted, his aura vast and mighty. Chapter 1466. 1466 Chapter 1466 Difficult Battle Buzz. Both the Reaper's scythe and the Black Divine Sword were much more powerful. They broke through Lu Ming's lightning and fire domain and slashed at him. Chirping, Bubbles cried out. As it waved its claws, it set up a space-time defense around Lu Ming. And NBSB, although the Skeletal Elder's attack was profound, it was still blocked by the space-time domain and weakened by a portion. Then, it passed through the defense of the Black Wings and struck the spiritual god heavily. Thump! The jade armor shook violently. A powerful force passed through the jade armor and bombarded his soul. Lu Ming's expression changed, and he could not help but retreat. The other party's attack was indeed terrifying. Even though Lu Ming had the jade armor, and his soul spirit was dozens of times stronger than ordinary people, he still felt a tearing pain. If it was an ordinary person, even with the protection of the jade armor, their soul would have been destroyed. Still not dead. Lu Ming was shocked, but he did not know that the Skeletal Elder was even more shocked. The soul attack he launched could even destroy the soul of a 7th-level martial emperor. However, Lu Ming, who was only at the 1st-level martial emperor realm, managed to block it. This was an attack that he had launched without caring about his injuries. It was extremely harmful to his heavily injured body. Kill! I must kill him. Otherwise, if he spread the news that I'm still alive, he'll be in big trouble. The skeletal old man roared in his heart. He launched another attack without caring about his injuries. The Grim Reaper's scythe slashed down again. The Skeletal Elder in front of him struck out with his palm, and a huge palm print came crashing toward Lu Ming. This time, he didn't just launch a soul attack, he also launched an ordinary attack. Leave this to me. Dandan flew out and opened its mouth. A ball of world shadow flew out and hit the huge palm print. At the same time, Bubbles attacked, and terrifying blades of space-time slashed at the other party. If you want to fight, then fight to the death. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with ferocity. Ignoring the Reaper's scythe behind him, he flapped his wings and charged forward. He was going to launch a counterattack. His glabella glowed, and a shield appeared in front of him. It was as large as a mountain. Boom! The illusory world that Dandan spat out was the first to bear the brunt. It collided with the huge palm print, and the illusory world collapsed. Then, it faced the huge shield that Lu Ming had conjured. Thump! This shield was a holy weapon, and it was indestructible. The palm print landed on the shield. The shield trembled and was sent flying, but the palm print also disappeared. The palm print was offset. Bubbles' blade of space-time continued to slash at his opponent. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It seemed that the other party was really extremely weak. Other than the soul attack, which was more powerful, ordinary attacks were not strong at all. Kill, die. Lu Ming shouted angrily, and punched continuously with both fists. More than 10 fist forces, together with Bubbles' space-time blade, were blasted toward the Skeletal Elder. The skeletal old man's expression changed. His body was covered in black light, as he continuously struck out palm prints. Boom! 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 A violent explosion sounded. After the terrifying collision, the Skeletal Elder's body floated backward. At the same time, the Reaper's scythe hit Lu Ming, causing his soul to feel a tearing pain. However, Lu Ming gritted his teeth and endured it. Kill! With a flap of his black wings, Lu Ming charged towards the Skeletal Elder. He just stared at the Skeletal Elder, completely ignoring the attack of the Death God's scythe behind him. Buzz! The black wings were like two heavenly blades, slashing at the Skeletal Elder. At the same time, a long spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and he swept it out. 13 charged strikes. The Emperor's spiritual weapon spear shook 4 times, and 4 terrifying forces exploded at the Skeletal Elder. At the same time, Dandan and Bubbles' attacks also arrived and crushed each other. The skeletal old man roared as he extended his bony claws and struck out. A terrifying collision erupted, and the force swept in all directions. In the end, the Skeletal Elder was at a disadvantage and was sent flying. The black light on his body trembled. Damn it, kid, I want you dead. The skeletal old man roared madly, and the black light on his body burned like a flame. The giant god of death turned into a beam of light, and merged into the skeletal elder's body. Boom! Then, a terrifying aura emanated from the skeletal elder's body. Like an ancient divine mountain, it pressed down on Lu Ming. This was the terrifying aura of a saint. Not good, this old man is going to risk his life, Dandan exclaimed. Devil Soul Blade kill. The skeletal elder roared. Black light gathered around his body and formed a huge blade that slashed at Lu Ming. The giant blade slashed, and the clouds in the sky were cut in half. This huge saber made Lu Ming feel a terrible sense of danger. Buzz! The shield was the first to fly out and block in front of him. After that, Dandan and Bubbles set up their defenses. Bang! 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 The giant blade slashed down, and the shield was sent flying. Then Dandan and Bubbles' defense were also destroyed. The huge saber then slashed toward Lu Ming. The black wings folded in front of him, and a chaotic domain enveloped them. Clang! The huge blade slashed at the black wings, causing them to shake violently. Lu Ming's body trembled violently, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Then he fell to the ground like a meteorite. Boom! Lu Ming landed heavily on the ground, creating a huge pit. Whoa, what a powerful force! Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt his qi and blood surging in his body. Several bones in his body were broken. The skeletal elder flew toward Lu Ming with an illusionary blade in his hand. His powerful aura enveloped Lu Ming, and the flames in his eyes burned. Lu Ming was more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. The cultivation technique he cultivated was shocking, and he had many treasures on him. He even had several holy weapons. He did not look like a first-level martial emperor at all. At the same time, he also brought a space-time spirit mouse and a little turtle with him. He couldn't recognize them, but they were definitely amazing. All in all, Lu Ming's vitality was too tenacious. An ordinary first-tier martial royal realm expert could easily kill the skeletal elder, even if he was severely injured. However, Lu Ming was still alive. He had used some forbidden techniques without caring about his injuries, but Lu Ming was still alive. The skeletal elder was shocked, but at the same time, he was even more determined to kill Lu Ming. What do we do? This won't do. He'll be exhausted to death by this old man. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Right, the prison guarding steel. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This skeletal old man was obviously cultivating an evil way of martial arts. The prison-suppressing steel had a strong ability to restrain the evil way and the demonic way. Lu Ming had almost forgotten about this. This was also related to the fact that Lu Ming had cultivated a spirit body after he had entered the martial royal realm. After he had cultivated a spirit body, he had subconsciously ignored the remaining two bloodlines. He rarely used it. Lu Ming suddenly recalled it. Chapter 1467. 1467 Second Level Martial Emperor Realm. With a thought, the prison-suppressing steel floated out. Suppress, go! Lu Ming shouted in a low voice. The prison-suppressing steel enlarged rapidly and pressed down on the skeletal elder. The prison-guarding steel, it's the prison-guarding steel. Impossible! Wasn't the prison-guarding steel broken? The skeletal old man screamed hysterically as soon as he saw the prison-suppressing steel. His voice was filled with endless fear. Then he turned around and ran. The skeletal old man saw the prison-suppressing steel, but he didn't even dare to attack. He just ran away. Boom! The prison-suppressing steel shook, and the word on the steel gave off a bright light. The prison-suppressing steel became as high as the sky, and suddenly appeared above the skeletal elder's head, pressing down. Ah! The skeletal old man screamed in horror. His body was covered with a terrible black light. At this moment, the skeletal old man's qi was extremely powerful. He waved his hand, and a terrifying blade light slashed towards the prison-suppressing steel. This slash was many times more powerful than the one that was aimed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression was grave. The skeletal elder's attack was a real desperate one. However, the prison-suppressing steel emitted a terrifying aura that had the power to suppress everything in the world. Under its suppression, the blade light of the skeletal elder collapsed instantly. Boom! Then, the prison-suppressing steel pressed down on the skeletal elder's body. The skeletal elder screamed and his skinny body exploded into ashes. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. That was because he did not activate the prison-guarding steel at all. It was killing the enemies automatically, and its power was shocking. It was many times stronger than when Lu Ming activated it himself. Lu Ming found it unbelievable that the prison-suppressing steel could kill its enemies on its own, and burst out with shocking power. Buzz! At this moment, a ray of black light shot out from where the skeletal elder's body had exploded. It was shockingly fast, as if it had shattered the void, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Brat, just wait for the evil spirit cult's revenge. The skeleton elder's unpleasant voice came from afar. He's not dead. Lu Ming frowned. The skeletal elder's body had been destroyed, but a wisp of his soul had escaped. Buzz! The prison-suppressing steel trembled as if it was angry. Then it quickly shrank and flew back to Lu Ming's head, floating quietly. Lu Ming sized up the prison-suppressing steel curiously. It seemed that the prison-suppressing steel was not to be underestimated. Its origin was shocking. Lu Ming did not unleash the true function of the prison-suppressing steel. What he had unleashed was most likely just the tip of the iceberg. The prison-suppressing steel can attack the enemy by itself. This has never happened before. Strange. Could it be that the other party has practiced an evil cultivation method? But I've met evil, demonic, and even ghost cultivators before. But none of them have shown such a strange phenomenon. Lu Ming frowned and pondered. He felt that it was not as simple as the other party cultivating an evil way of cultivation technique that caused the prison-suppressing steel to attack the enemy. There must be another reason, but Lu Ming did not know the reason yet. Back in the Divine Ruins continents, the burly man from the deity sect said that the deity sect had a fragment of the prison-suppressing steel. It should be true. I must find a way to get that fragment. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. However, the Tianshan sect was extremely powerful. Some people even said that the Tianshan sect's overall strength might be the strongest among the 13 top sects in the Tsang region. It would be very difficult to get the fragment of the prison-suppressing steel. Lu Ming's gaze suddenly shifted to the spot where the skeletal elder's body was destroyed. The skeletal elder had left almost nothing behind, and he did not have a storage ring either. However, Lu Ming found a piece of black paper floating down. Lu Ming put away the prison-suppressing steel bloodline and appeared beside the paper in a flash. He grabbed the paper. A secret technique. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the paper and realized that it was a secret skill. Let's leave this place. Lu Ming kept the paper. With a flap of his black wings, he tore through the void and left this place. The battle just now had probably attracted the attention of the nearby experts. Hundreds of thousands of miles away, Lu Ming found a secret cave abode and walked in. Sitting cross-legged in the cave abode, Lu Ming waved his hand, and a large pile of raw gemstones appeared. The devouring power burst out and devoured the raw gemstones' original chi. He began to refine them and recover. A few hours later, Lu Ming's essential core had fully recovered, and the circulation of his essential core was extremely smooth. It was condensed and smooth, reaching a peak. I'm about to break through. Lu Ming's face revealed a hint of joy. When he was in Dragon God Valley, he had refined 3 royal fruits. Both his realm and cultivation had reached the peak of the first-level martial royal realm, only one step away from the second level. After this period of time, and the battle with the skeletal elder, his potential had been suppressed. Now he was finally going to break through. Lu Ming's palm glowed, and a heavenly Dao stone appeared. It then flew above Lu Ming's head and floated above him, scattering wisps of heavenly Dao aura. Lu Ming started cultivating quietly. A few days later, Lu Ming's body emitted a powerful devouring force. The origin chi between heaven and earth surged towards Lu Ming and was devoured by him. At the same time, Lu Ming also took out a pile of mid-grade raw stones to aid his cultivation. As the rough stone was continuously devoured, Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed. Second-level martial emperor realm. Lu Ming had finally made another breakthrough. His chaos domain had been upgraded to level 2. And his cultivation had also broken through to the second level of the martial royal realm. His combat strength had improved greatly. However, Lu Ming did not end his cultivation. He continued to stabilize his cultivation. After 3 days, Lu Ming finally ended his cultivation. His cultivation at the second level of the martial royal realm had completely stabilized. Let's see what secret technique that skeleton old man left behind. At this moment, Lu Ming took out the piece of paper left behind by the skeletal elder and started reading. The black paper was made of an unknown material. It was very flexible and hard. It felt light in his hands. Lu Ming injected his essential core and lines of small, dense words appeared on the paper. Soul attack secret skill, godly sword technique. After a long while, Lu Ming put down the paper, a hint of excitement in his eyes. A soul attack technique was recorded on the paper. According to the records, one's soul would be tempered and strengthened by practicing this secret technique. At the same time, one could use a special method to condense his soul power into a divine sword and launch an attack that could attack the soul of others. Lu Ming could not help but think of the attack of the skeletal elder. The skeletal elder's eyes would emit a black light that attacked his soul like a divine sword. It was very powerful. This was a priceless treasure that could not be bought in the outside world. It could temper the soul, increase the strength of the soul, and even launch soul attacks. This was very suitable for Lu Ming. His soul had been refined by the world refinement tribulation bell. It was broken and then rebuilt. The strength of his soul was dozens of times stronger than that of ordinary people. If he cultivated the godly sword technique, his soul attack would be extremely powerful. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming began to study it. Chapter 1468. 1468 The Saintess Nianqing? Time flew by. Cultivation knew no time. In the blink of an eye, another 10 days had passed. Whoosh! Lu Ming, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes. 2 black rays of light burst out from his eyes. Like 2 black divine swords, they pierced forward and flew a few hundred meters before disappearing into the cave wall. The godly sword technique is so mysterious. I haven't mastered it yet. According to the records, when I reach a high level, I can become invisible. With a shout, I can destroy the soul of my opponent and kill them without leaving a trace. Lu Ming muttered. The more he cultivated, the more he felt that the divine sword technique was unfathomable. He recalled the time when the Feng family head had brought them to see the skeletal old man. Duan Yin and Fu Xing had died with a shout from the skeletal old man. It must have been this ability that had destroyed their souls with a shout. As for the Feng family's second master and third master, their souls must have been destroyed, so there was no wound on their bodies. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. The divine sword technique would definitely become one of his trump cards in the future. I've been in seclusion for more than half a month. It's time to go back. Lu Ming walked out of the cave and looked into the distance. What entered his eyes was a vast mountain. He found that he was lost and didn't know where he was. When the skeletal elder was chasing him, he had randomly chosen a direction to escape in and didn't pay attention to where he was going. I found a place with people and inquired about it. Lu Ming soared into the sky and disappeared. Half an hour later, a city appeared in front of them. Lu Ming flew into the city, and not long after he flew out again. I didn't expect that I would actually come to the territory of the Tianyu demon sect. Lu Ming muttered. The Tianyu demonic sect. He thought of Xian Yanqing. Since I'm here, I'll go see little Qing and see how she's doing. Why didn't you enter the great emperor's secret realm? Lu Ming had many questions in his heart. He then moved and flew in the direction of the sky demon sect, according to the information he had just obtained. Lu Ming flew at full speed. After more than a day, mountains came into view ahead. They were all demon mountains. Demonic mountains that were tens of thousands of feet tall broke into the sky, and this territory was filled with rolling demonic qi. This was the main gate of the Tianyu demon sect. When Lu Ming flew closer, he saw a shocking scene. In the depths of the vast demon mountain, there was a pillar of demonic qi that shot up into the sky. It was incomparably huge, even bigger than many demon mountains. Could it be that the demonic qi here is all because of that pillar of demonic qi? Lu Ming muttered in his heart and continued flying. Stop! Suddenly, There was a loud shout and two figures appeared in front of Lu Ming, blocking his way. The two young men were in their 20s. They wore black robes and carried demonic sabers on their backs. There was a demonic pattern between their eyebrows. A disciple of the Tianyu demonic sect. Halt, the Tianyu demon sect is just ahead. What are you here for? One of the young men asked. The two of you are too polite. I'm here to look for someone. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, Oh, looking for someone? Are you looking for a disciple of my Tianyu demon sect? Tell me what's your name. Maybe I can help you ask. A young man said, Her name is Xian Yanqing. I wonder if you've heard of her? Lu Ming said, What? You're looking for the holy maiden? The two young men's expressions suddenly changed, and they shouted in a low voice. Holy maiden? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. How did Xian Yanqing become the saintess of the Tianyu demonic sect? He remembered that Xian Yinjuan had become the holy virgin of the Tianshan sect after joining it. Could it be that Xian Yanqing had also become the holy virgin of the Tianyu demon sect? At this moment, countless thoughts were running through Lu Ming's mind. Brat, you should quickly leave this place. The young man on the left said in a cold voice. Why is that? I'm really looking for Yanqing. Lu Ming said. How dare you? How dare you call the saintess by her name? You should take a good look at yourself. You're just a LV2 martial royal realm martial artist. And you want to get close to the saintess? Dream on. The young man on the left berated. Lu Ming frowned and said, Your saintess old friend came from the same place. From the same place? The two young men were stunned. The young man on the right said, You are from the divine wilderness continent? Not bad. Lu Ming nodded. The two young men looked at each other, and one of them said, Boy, you'd better not lie to us, or else you'll end up in a miserable state. Also, you and the saintess come from the same place, so what's your relationship with her? The saintess is very busy, and needs to cultivate in seclusion. We can report this to the higher-ups, but if we find out that you're lying, you know the consequences, boy. I'm Nianking's boyfriend. After pondering for a moment, Lu Ming said, What? How dare you, kid, you're looking for death. The two young men bellowed when they heard that. They glared at Lu Ming with murderous intent. Brat, how dare you profane the holy maiden? You deserve to die. Who do you think you are? You're just an ant. How dare you say that you're the saint's boyfriend? Don't you leave today. The two young men shouted coldly. They unsheathed their demonic blades and a cold aura enveloped Lu Ming. Both of them were at the peak of the second-level martial royal realm. Lu Ming frowned. Everything I've said is true. You can upload it to your saintess. Just say that Lu Ming is here to see her. She'll naturally know. You're looking for death. You still dare to talk nonsense. Kill. The young man on the left bellowed. The demonic blade in his hand slashed at Lu Ming. At the same time, the demonic blade of the young man on the right also slashed out violently, aiming for Lu Ming's head. It was as if he wanted to kill Lu Ming. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. A long spear appeared in his hand, and he swept it across the two demonic blades. Clang! Clang! The demonic blade trembled, and a terrifying power gushed in. The bodies of the two young men trembled, and they were forced to retreat. He only managed to stabilize himself after taking dozens of steps back, causing the air to rumble. How dare you fight back? You're looking for death. Don't you dare leave this place today. The two young men shouted. You too, Lu Ming asked nicely and told you the truth, but you want to kill me. How preposterous. Lu Ming said coldly. If not for the fact that they were in the Tianyu demonic sect, the two of them would have been dead by now. What truth? Bullshit. You're insulting the holy maiden. One of them shouted. Buzz. At this time, a ray of demonic light flashed, and another young man appeared. What's going on? This young man had his hands behind his back, and his eyes were like lightning. His aura was many times stronger than the two young guards. Senior brother Jinyu, you're here just in time. There's a lecherous man here who actually said he's the boyfriend of Saintess Xian Yanqing. One of the young men shouted. What? The young man named Jin's eyes suddenly turned cold. His cold killing intent burst out and enveloped Lu Ming. You're just an ant. How dare you say that you're the saint's boyfriend? You'll die for what you've said. The golden feather stepped forward, and its powerful aura pressed toward Lu Ming. Peak LV4 Martial Royal Realm. This person's cultivation had reached the peak of the LV4 Martial Royal Realm. Chapter 1469. 1469 Meeting Brat. Kneel down now and slap yourself 200 times, and it'll let you die in one piece. Jin Yu stared at Lu Ming with a haughty look. What a joke. Nianqing and I are already a couple. We've been together for so many years. What nonsense are you talking about? Lu Ming said coldly. In the face of such a question, how could Lu Ming avoid it? He could tell that these young men had a different opinion of Xian Yanqing. Therefore, he would not avoid them. He wanted everyone to know that Xian Yanqing was his girlfriend. Kill! Jin Yu shouted and pressed his palm down. Boom! A huge demonic palm print pressed down on Lu Ming with shocking power. Back then, the Feng clan master was also at the peak of the LV4 Martial Royal Realm, but his power was much weaker than Jin Yu's. This person was obviously a heaven's favorite. Break! Lu Ming muttered and thrust the long spear in his hand. 13 charged strikes. Whoosh! A spear light pierced through the air and stabbed the demonic palm print. The 4 forces at the tip of the spear suddenly burst out with amazing penetrating power. It pierced through the demonic palm print, turning it into demonic qi and dissipating. You're only at the 2nd level of the Martial Royal Realm. You have some strength, but you still have to die. Jin Yu's eyes were cold as his aura became stronger and stronger. Demonic qi started to burn like flames. Stop! At this moment a crisp sound was heard. Jin Yu was stunned. He turned around and his expression changed. He bowed and said, Jin Yu greets the Holy Maiden. This subordinate pays his respects to the Holy Maiden. The 2 young men from before also bowed. Holy Maiden? Lu Ming cast his gaze over. A woman stepped through the air. She was wearing a long black robe, had a graceful figure and fair skin. She was very beautiful. However, it wasn't Xian Yanqing. It was an unfamiliar woman. It was obvious that there was more than one saintess in the Tianyu demonic sect. It was normal. Many sects had titles such as Holy Maiden, Holy Sun and Zongzi. These people were the most talented geniuses of a sect, and had the potential to inherit the position of sect leader in the future. However, there would usually be more than one person. Some sects had 2, 3, or even more. Each of them was extremely talented and competed with each other. The strongest person would inherit the position of sect master. The woman stepped in the air and came to Lu Ming. What's going on? Holy Virgin Lu Yu. There's a lecherous man here who claims to be Holy Virgin Nianqing's boyfriend. I'm going to kill him. Jin Yu said respectfully. Although his cultivation was not bad, he was still very respectful and fearful in front of Lu Yu. Nianqing's boyfriend? Interesting. Lu Yu's eyes flickered, and the corners of her mouth curled into an inexplicable smile. She looked at Lu Ming and said, Are you really Nianqing's boyfriend? That's right. Whether it's true or not, you'll know once you see Nianqing. Lu Ming said, All right, I'll believe you this time. But you have to know that if you lie, the Tianyu demon sect will be your burial ground. Lu Yu's eyes revealed a hint of killing intent. I'm just a mere 2nd-level martial emperor. How could I have such courage? Lu Ming smiled faintly. All right, I'll take you to Nianqing. Lu Yu said. Holy Maiden. Jin Yu's expression changed. Shut up. Do you have any objections to my decision? Lu Yu coldly glanced at Jin Yu, causing him to break out in a cold sweat. He quickly lowered his head and did not dare to speak. Let's go. Lu Yu took light steps and stepped into the air as she headed toward the depths of the Tianyu demon sect. Lu Ming followed behind her. Along the way, some people looked at Lu Ming in surprise. However, when they saw that the person leading the way was Lu Yu, no one said anything. After crossing one demon mountain after another, the demonic qi in front of them was getting thicker and thicker. Very quickly, they arrived at an incomparably huge demonic mountain and landed in front of a huge palace. This place is Nianqing's residence, Lu Yu said. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. He had not seen Xian Yanqing for more than half a year. He wondered how she was doing after they parted ways in the Divine Ruins continent. Holy Virgin Lu Yu, may I know why you've come? A middle-aged woman appeared in front of Lu Yu and bowed slightly. Please pass on a message that an old friend is here to see Nianqing. Lu Yu said in a tender voice. An old friend? Is this the person? The middle-aged woman looked at Lu Ming. That's right. This is young Master Lu Ming. He said that he is Nianqing's boyfriend. Lu Yu said with a smile. The saint's boyfriend? The middle-aged woman's expression changed. A mere second-level martial royal realm, holy maiden Lu Yu. Did you make a mistake? This is the Tianyu demon sect. I don't think he would dare to lie. Whether it's right or wrong, just let Nianqing come out and see. Lu Yu said. The middle-aged woman's eyes flickered. She pondered for a moment and said, All right, I'll inform the saint. After saying that, the middle-aged woman turned around and walked into the palace. After a while, a figure flashed out of the hall and appeared in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming, is it really you? A surprised voice was heard. An alluring figure stood in front of Lu Ming and looked at him carefully. Nianqing. Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. After more than half a year, he finally saw Xie Nianqing in the Yuan continent. After more than half a year, Xie Nianqing was still as beautiful as ever. In fact, the demonic glow on his body was even more intense. He looked like he had a unique charm that could make one's heart beat faster with just one look. Although Lu Yu was equally beautiful, when she stood next to Xie Nianqing, she couldn't hold a candle to him. The distance between them widened, and everyone's eyes naturally shifted from Lu Yu to Xie Nianqing. Lu Yu's eyes flashed with jealousy, but she still smiled. Junior sister Nianqing, this man said he's your boyfriend. It seems he's not lying. Not bad. Xie Nianqing nodded. Hee, then I must congratulate junior sister Nianqing. But senior sister is a little strange. Your boyfriend's cultivation is too low. He's only at the second level of the martial emperor realm. At this point Lu Yu stopped. There was a hint of mockery in her tone. In my heart, Lu Ming's talent is much stronger than yours. It won't be long before he surpasses you. All right, senior sister, please leave. Xie Nianqing's voice was cold, as if he was on bad terms with Lu Yu. Hee, junior sister, I'll take my leave first. Lu Yu smiled and left. Lu Ming, come with me. Xie Nianqing pulled Lu Ming's hand and entered the hall. Behind the hall, there was an elegant courtyard. Xie Nianqing leaned on Lu Ming's shoulder. Lu Ming wrapped his arm around Xie Nianqing's waist and kissed his red lips. The scene was filled with warmth. After a long time, their lips separated. The two of them snuggled up to each other and told each other their hearts. Little Qing, how did you become the saint of the Tianyu demon sect? Lu Ming asked curiously. Chapter 1470. 1470 Chapter 1470 Show-off. After I came to the Tianyu demonic sect, I accidentally had a conflict with someone else. I had a big fight, but my master took a fancy to me. My master is the sect master of the Tianyu demonic sect, and she took me in as a true disciple. Later, I was tested to have a rare innate demonic body, so I was named the Tianyu demonic sect's Holy Virgin. Xie Nianqing explained. Innate demon body? Is it a type of innate spirit body? Lu Ming's heart stirred. This was a possibility. In the divine wilderness continent, the cultivation level was too low. Some heaven-defying talents could not be discovered or discovered. However, it was different in the Yuan continent. Moreover, there were many types of innate spirit bodies. For example, Yin Feng's innate spiritual body was considered the worst among the innate spiritual bodies. After breaking through to the martial emperor realm, he could only transform into a low-grade earth spiritual body. Some powerful innate spiritual bodies could transform into medium-grade, or even superior-grade earth spiritual bodies, or even stronger. Xie Nianqing's innate demonic body might be extraordinary, which was why he was named the Holy Virgin of the Tianyu demonic sect. Moreover, Lu Ming noticed that Xie Nianqing's cultivation was higher than his. He had reached the peak of the third-level martial emperor realm, and was only one step away from the fourth level. Lu Ming finally understood why Xie Nianqing did not go to the Great Emperor's secret realm. It was very likely that Xie Nianqing had already broken through to the martial emperor realm and could not enter the Great Emperor's secret realm. Following that, Lu Ming briefly recounted his experiences along the way. Little Qing, that Lu Yu doesn't seem to get along with you? Lu Ming asked. That's right. She and I are both saintesses, and are qualified to compete for the future sect master of the Tianyu demon sect. She brought you here to see me to ruin my reputation. She has no good intentions, Xian Yinqing explained. Although there was no rule in the Tianyu demonic sect that the saintess was not allowed to interact with others, under normal circumstances, it was hoped that the saintess would try not to interact with others before breaking through to the saint realm, as it would distract her. Lu Yu had intentionally brought Lu Ming in to look for Xian Yinqing. She wanted to let the others know that Xian Yinqing had a boyfriend, and that they were dating. This way, Xian Yinqing would have a bad impression on the higher-ups of the Tianyu demon sect. His chances of competing for the position of sect leader would be reduced. This was Lu Ye's purpose in bringing Lu Ming in. Xian Yinqing's lips curved into a smile. If she wants to compete for the sect master's position, then so be it. I don't care about the sect master's position anyway. Little Qing, whether you have a heart or not, you still have to be careful in the future. Lu Ming was concerned. Yes, I know. Xian Yinqing nodded. The two of them chatted for a while. At this time, the news that a strange man in the LV2 martial royal realm was the boyfriend of the saintess, Xian Yinqing, spread throughout the entire Tianyu demonic sect, causing a huge uproar. A second-level martial royal realm thug is actually the saint's boyfriend. This is preposterous. A toad lusting after a swan's flesh. I want him to understand that he's not worthy of the saint. The voices of the young men were filled with anger and jealousy. Of course, Xian Yinqing and Lu Ming did not know about this. The two of them were still in a state of intimacy. A few hours later, Lu Ming, it's rare for you to come to the Tianyu demon sect. I'll show you around. There are some places in the Tianyu demon sect that are not bad. Xian Yinqing said. All right, Lu Ming nodded. The two of them walked out of the palace, hand in hand, and strolled around the Tianyu demon sect. However, he was stopped by a young man after a short while. Audacious fanatic, how dare you take liberties with the holy maiden? You deserve to die. The young man bellowed. When he saw Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing holding hands, his eyes burned with jealousy. Xian Yinqing was a legend in the Tianyu demonic sect. She came from a small continent, and was recruited by the emissary of the Tianyu demon sect. As soon as she arrived, she was taken in as a true disciple by the sect master of the Tianyu demon sect. Later, it was found that she had a rare innate demon body, and she was immediately conferred the title of saintess. Moreover, Xian Yinqing was devastatingly beautiful. Some of the beautiful women in the Tianyu demon sect couldn't help but pale in comparison. Naturally, Xian Yinqing became the goddess in the hearts of countless young men in the Tianyu demon sect. However, Xian Yinqing had a cold personality. He treated everyone with a cold look and had a strange temper. No young man could make him smile. But now, Xian Yinqing's boyfriend suddenly appeared, and he was even holding hands with Xian Yinqing. This made the young man so angry that his lungs almost exploded. He was so jealous that he almost vomited blood. Get lost! Xian Yinqing's cold voice came from his mouth. Holy maiden, this person is a good-for-nothing. You have to think twice and not be deceived. The young man roared. Get lost, you only have 3 breaths of time. Xian Yinqing said coldly as a terrifying aura emanated from his body. The young man's expression was ugly. He cast a warning glance at Lu Ming, then turned around and left. Little Qing, it seems that you're very popular in the Tianyu demon sect. Lu Ming muttered. Xian Yinqing rolled his eyes at Lu Ming and smiled flirtatiously. If the young men from the Tianyu demon sect were to see Xian Yinqing like this, they would probably be dumbfounded. What's wrong? Are you jealous? Feeling the pressure? I have many suitors in the Tianyu demonic sect, including the geniuses of other sections. Some of them are even at the peak of the martial emperor realm. Xian Yinqing blinked his big eyes and looked at Lu Ming. I'm a little jealous, but I'm not stressed. I don't care about these people at all. In a few years, they won't be my match. Lu Ming smiled, full of confidence. Really shameless. Xian Yinqing smiled, but his face was filled with happiness. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly looked ahead. In front of him, streaks of light streaked across the sky. Even from a distance, Lu Ming could see that they were young men, all flying toward him in anger. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly. You said that I'm smug. Then I'll show you how smug I am. With that, Lu Ming wrapped his arm around Xian Yanking's slender waist and pulled him into his arms. How dare you? Let go of your stinky hands. Lowly ant, how dare you? I'm going to cripple your hands. Let go. A group of young men appeared in front of Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. When they saw that Lu Ming was hugging Xian Yanqing, their eyes were about to spit fire. Their faces were red with anger, and they wanted to eat Lu Ming alive. How detestable. The holy, noble, and high and mighty saintess was actually in this guy's arms. At the thought of this, they wished they could cut Lu Ming into pieces. All of you get lost. It's not your place to meddle in my business. Xian Yanqing scolded coldly. Holy maiden, you're still young. Don't be deceived by this man. That's right. You have unparalleled talent, which is rare in the world. You should find a man with the same talent to date. For example, me. This man is only a second-level martial royal realm trash. The young men spoke up one by one. Demonic Jia. Lu Ming noticed a familiar face in the crowd. It was Mo Jia. He was the leader of the Tianyu demonic sect, who had entered the Great Emperor's secret realm. Chapter 1471. 1471 Chapter 1471 One step. Defeat. Ma Jia sneered in the crowd. He stepped out and shouted, Lu Ming, I know that you and the Saintess came from the same small continent, and that you've known each other for a long time. However, the Saintess' talent has not been discovered in that small continent. So, your cultivation base seems to be worthy of the Saintess. However, now that the Holy Maiden's talent has bloomed, she's a person from a completely different world from you. The difference between you and the Holy Maiden is too great. If you're sensible, leave the Holy Maiden on your own, and don't delay her. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. In other words, you're saying that you're very strong and talented? Of course, how can we be compared to you? Someone sneered in response. Hee hee. Lu Ming revealed a contemptuous smile and said, I, Lu Ming, have risen from the divine wilderness continent, a small remote continent. I'm 26 years old now, and my cultivation is at the second level of the martial emperor realm. As for you, you claim to be the pride of the heavens, and were born in the Yuan continent. Under such a good environment, at this age, your cultivation is only at your level. How can you have the face to act so high and mighty in front of me? If you give me a few years, I will definitely trample all of you under my feet. Lu Ming's voice was sonorous and powerful. It spread far and wide, causing the young geniuses of the Tianyu demon sect to have ugly expressions. Arrogant. Who do you think you are? You even said that you would trample us under your feet. He's a king on a wild island, and thinks he can do the same in the Yuan continent. He's really looking at the sky from a lower position, and overestimating his own ability. All the young men shouted. There was even one person who took a big step forward, releasing his aura as he shouted angrily, Kid, I'm also at the second level of the martial royal realm. Do you dare to fight me? If you want to fight, then let's fight. Lu Ming let go of Xian Yanqing and strode out. Kid, even if we're at the same level, I'll let you know what combat strength is. I'll defeat you in 10 moves. Die. The young man shouted coldly. Demonic chi surged into the sky. He was like a demonic god. With a wave of his hands, a terrifying demonic light slashed toward Lu Ming. Get lost. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning as he suddenly took a step forward. 9 dragons heaven-stomping steps. Now Lu Ming had already cultivated the 9 dragons, heaven-treading steps to its peak. A casual step was like 9 dragons trampling the sky, and its power was terrifying. Boom! Lu Ming took a step in the air, and the void trembled. Then, a dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens. 9 dragons flew out from under Lu Ming's feet, and pounced at the other party. The other party's demonic light was directly destroyed by the 9 dragons, and then heavily hit the other party's body. The other party let out a blood-curdling screech as the bones in his body crackled. His body was sent flying, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. It flew for over 1,000 meters before it finally came to a stop. Disbelief was reflected in its eyes. Defeated in one move? How is that possible? He mumbled to himself, finding it hard to bear. A moment ago, he had been acting all high and mighty, wanting to teach Lu Ming, an ant from a savage island, a lesson in the name of the pride of the Yuan continent. He had even said that even if they were of the same level, he would let Lu Ming know what combat power was and defeat him in 10 moves. However, he was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. In response to what he had just said, he was simply too ashamed to show his face. He wished he could find a crack and hide in it. The expressions of the other young men from the Sky Demon sect changed. The young man from before had a low-grade earth spiritual body, and his combat strength could crush other martial artists of the same level. However, he was defeated by Lu Ming in one move. This made them re-evaluate Lu Ming. Who else wants to fight? My cultivation is at the early stage of the 2nd level martial emperor realm. All of you at or below the 4th level martial emperor realm can come and fight me. If you can defeat me, I'll turn around and leave. Lu Ming's gaze swept across the entire scene, and his voice could be heard from afar. What? Anyone at or below the 4th level of the martial emperor realm can fight. How arrogant, how arrogant. You're overestimating yourself. The young men of the Tianyu demonic sect roared. Lu Ming actually said that anyone in the 4th level of the martial royal realm, or below from the Tianyu demon sect could fight. He was merely at the early stage of the LV2 martial royal realm. Yet he dared to say that Zhan Tianyu demon sect's LV4 martial royal realm heavens favorite was arrogant beyond belief. Kid, don't think that you're so great just because you defeated someone at the same level. I'll fight you. You're courting death. A young man shouted and strode out. A powerful aura burst out, forming a demonic cloud that covered the void. This person had a cultivation of the 3rd level of the martial royal realm. Bang! 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 Lu Ming was very direct. He took a step forward, and it was still the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. With every step Lu Ming took, the sky rumbled, as if a giant was walking in the sky. In an instant he took 9 steps in succession, and a huge 9 dragon flew out and pounced at the other party. Break! The other party roared loudly. His demonic might was vast and mighty. He threw dozens of punches in a row, and black fist gleams were blasted toward Lu Ming. However, the 9 dragons pounced over, and the fist radiance collapsed. It couldn't withstand a single blow. Bang! Just like the young man before him, the 9 dragons pounced on the young man's body. He let out a blood-curdling screech as his body was sent flying, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Another move. Just like the young man from before, he was defeated in a single move. There seemed to be no difference between the 3rd level and the 2nd level of the martial emperor realm. The only difference was that Lu Ming had taken a few more steps. The young men from the Tianyu demonic sect looked at each other in shock. Lu Ming's combat strength was actually so terrifying. Was this still a person from a mere savage island? Behind them, Xian Yinqing smiled. Lu Ming was getting stronger. Humph. Maybe he used all his strength in that move just now. It's just a show of strength. A cold voice came from the crowd. It was demonic Jia. Many people's eyes lit up. Perhaps it was true. Perhaps Lu Ming's move just now seemed simple. But it was very likely that he had used all his strength and his trump card to defeat his opponent and win. Perhaps Lu Ming's combat strength had reached its limit. That must be the case, many people thought. Otherwise, how could they accept that a lowly ant from a barbaric island had such strong combat strength? Ma Jia, my defeated opponent, do you dare to come out and fight? Lu Ming stared at demonic Jia and said coldly. Demonic Jia's face darkened. In the great emperor's secret realm, he had indeed fought with Lu Ming before. He was not Lu Ming's match at all. Mo Jia, go on. Let this kid know the true power of our Tianyu demon sect's paragon. That's right. With your combat strength, you can easily take him down. The other young men from the Tianyu demonic sect spoke, causing Mo Jia's expression to turn even gloomier. What's wrong? You don't dare to fight me? Should I just admit defeat? Also, all of you can get lost. Lu Ming sneered. Arrogant. Demonic Jia, Teach him a good lesson. A young man was furious. Bang! Bang! Myriad stepped forward and stared at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Lu Ming, times have changed. I can defeat you now. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Moji's body. Peak LV3 Martial Royal Realm. It had only been a short while since the end of the Great Emperor's Secret Realm, but Moji's cultivation had already reached the peak of the third level of the Martial Emperor Realm. Chapter 1472. 1472 Chapter 1472 Winning Streak. For a figure like Moji, he had been suppressed too much at the Supreme Being Realm in the past. Once he broke through to the Martial Emperor Realm, his cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. However, at the peak of the LV3 Martial Royal Realm, his previous accumulation was almost exhausted. His future progress would slow down. However, this was enough to make Myriad very confident. His cultivation was more than one level higher than Lu Ming's, almost 2 levels higher. With every step Myriad took, the aura on his body became stronger. His demonic body was glowing, and demonic chi was circulating. Myriad has a rare medium-grade earth spiritual body, and his cultivation has reached the peak of the third-level Martial Emperor Realm. He's more than enough to suppress this kid. And I just don't know how many moves this kid can block from demonic Jia. Some of the young men from the Tianyu demonic sect started to discuss. Myriad, you are very confident, but I hope that you won't be like the previous two. Lu Ming smiled faintly. The previous two were also full of confidence, but the result was a crushing defeat. Dark Demon Fist. Myriad suddenly roared and pounced at Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning. He threw a punch at Lu Ming. Wherever the fist force passed, the void trembled, bringing with it a terrifying storm. Good. Lu Ming smiled faintly and threw a punch as well. Thump. Their fists collided heavily, like two giant hammers colliding in the air. Demonic chi surged. The moment the two fists collided, Moji's expression changed. With a muffled groan, his body trembled and he flew far away. What? The other youths from the Tianyu demonic sect widened their eyes. In a head-on confrontation, demonic Jia was actually forced back. Demonic Jia was a medium-grade earth spiritual body. His physical body was extremely strong, but he was knocked back by Lu Ming's punch. Could Lu Ming also be a medium-grade earth spiritual body? A mid-grade earth spiritual body was considered a rare spiritual body in the 13 top sects of the Azure region. Devil Seal of Darkness. Moji retreated 100 meters. His face was dark as he roared into the sky. Demonic chi exploded from his body like flames. Everything within 100 meters was covered in demonic chi. A huge palm print formed in the sky, blocking out the sun and bombarding Lu Ming. The power was terrifying. Moji's combat strength was indeed very strong. He was much stronger than the third-level Martial Emperor Realm martial artist from before. Whether it was the strength of his spirit body or the use of his domain martial technique, they were both very shocking. An ordinary peak third-level Martial Emperor Realm expert would probably not be able to withstand a single move from Moji and would be killed. However, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. Buzz! Lu Ming soared into the sky, his chaos realm enveloping him. He cast the prison-suppressing heavenly art and threw a punch. Lu Ming's body appeared very small in the face of Moji's demonic palm print. However, when Lu Ming's fist landed on the demonic palm print immediately collapsed. Lu Ming stepped on the demonic chi and walked towards Moji. His cold voice was heard. Myriad, is this all your combat power? What a disappointment. Impossible. Myriad bellowed. The move just now was the combination of his spirit body and his domain technique. It could be said that he had unleashed his combat strength to the peak. However, in Lu Ming's hands, it could not even withstand a single blow. 9 dragons trampling the heavens. Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared on top of Moji's head. He took 9 steps in a row and 9 dragons flew out, roaring and dancing, flying towards Moji. Get lost! Moji bellowed. His demonic body glowed, and his domain covered his entire body. He struck out with his palm, and a palm print landed on the 9 dragons, sending them flying. However, Lu Ming had already appeared in front of Wuxia and punched out. Bang! Wuxia was sent flying, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. His chest caved in. He lost. Wuxia lost. Everyone could tell that if Lu Ming had not shown mercy, Wuxia would have been dead. Everyone looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying. Wuxia, who had a medium-grade earth spiritual body, was actually no match for Lu Ming, and was easily defeated even though his cultivation level was in the lead. Could it be that Lu Ming had a superior grade spiritual body? Many people's hearts trembled as they thought of this possibility. That was impossible. Then, they all shook their heads in their hearts. There weren't many upper-class earth spiritual bodies in the entire Azure region. Every one of them was a genius with unparalleled combat strength, and was an invincible figure among the younger generation. How could Lu Ming have a superior grade earth spiritual body? In fact, Lu Ming did not have a superior grade earthly spiritual body, but a medium grade one. However, because Lu Ming had survived the world refining tribulation bell, there was a faint trace of chaos chi in his body, which made his physical body far stronger than those of the same grade. Although his current spiritual body was a medium-grade earth spiritual body, its power and strength were probably not inferior to that of a high-grade earth spiritual body. In addition, Lu Ming had broken through to the second level of the martial royal realm, and his chaos domain had broken through to the second level. His combat strength had increased greatly, and he was much stronger than he was in the Great Emperor Secret Realm. Although the Chaos Realm was difficult to cultivate and improve, the increase in power with each breakthrough was terrifying. Damn it! Demonic Jia roared in his heart, and looked at Lu Ming with an extremely gloomy gaze. However, Lu Ming ignored him. He swept his gaze across the entire place and said, "Who else wants to come up and fight?" The remaining young men from the Tianyu demonic sect looked at each other with ugly expressions. Even demonic Jia was defeated. Who could fight him? As a medium-grade earth spiritual body, Moji's combat strength was extremely powerful. It was not easy for a fourth-level martial royal realm genius with an inferior earth spiritual body to defeat Moji. However, Lu Ming had won. Therefore, even if an ordinary LV4 martial royal realm with an inferior earthly spiritual body were to attack, it would be difficult for them to defeat Lu Ming. Only a fourth-level martial royal realm intermediate earth spiritual body would have the confidence. However, there weren't many medium earth spiritual bodies, and they didn't have any here. In addition, many of the people here had reached LV5 and LV6 martial royal realm. If the news of him bullying Lu Ming, a LV2 martial royal realm martial artist, with such a low cultivation spread, the younger generation of the Sky Demon sect would become a laughingstock. For a moment, no one made a sound. "I'll test you." At this moment a voice was heard. In the distance, a ray of light flashed, and a young figure appeared. "Senior Brother Jinyu." "It's Senior Brother Jinyu." "That's great. With Senior Brother Jinyu's help, victory is in our hands. Look at that brat, how arrogant he can be." Many people from the Tianyu demon sect were overjoyed to see this young man. "It's him." Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. This young man was the one who had attacked Lu Ming when he had just arrived at the Sky Demon sect's front gate. However, he was interrupted by Lu Yu halfway. This person's cultivation was at the peak of the LV4 martial royal realm. Jinyu looked at Lu Ming coldly and said, "Brat, you managed to escape before, but I'll deal with you now." His voice was cold and arrogant, and he had an arrogant expression on his face. The powerful cultivation of the peak of the fourth-level martial royal realm bloomed from his body. A terrifying pressure pressed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. The essential core in his body circulated crazily to resist the other party's aura. Boom! Between the two of them, due to the clash of auras, a loud rumbling sound was produced. Chapter 1473. 1473 Chapter 1473 Great Battle against Jinyu facing the Golden Feather. Lu Ming had to treat it with caution, and did not dare to be careless. The Golden Feathers gave Lu Ming a strong sense of pressure. A LV4 martial royal realm expert could be considered a middle-rank emperor. His combat strength far exceeded that of a LV3 martial royal realm expert. Moreover, Jinya's spiritual body was definitely not simple. This could be seen from the expressions of the other disciples of the Sky Demon sect. MOU. Jinyu extended a hand and pressed in the air. His domain spread out. The demonic qi domain continued to expand and spread toward Lu Ming. The domains were layered and contained endless demonic qi. There were even feathers that looked like swords flying in the air. Its senior brother Genius Devil Feather Domain. It's said that Senior Genius territory has already reached level 5. Someone exclaimed, "Demonic Feather Domain, what a wonderful domain!" Lu Ming's eyes flickered. There were tens of millions of domains in the world, and one could see it in any domain. Some Heaven's Pride experts who had comprehended many kinds of intent realms before they reached the Martial Emperor realm might be able to form some wonderful domains after they broke through. For example, some people who had comprehended the wind and fire concepts before reaching the Martial Emperor realm could condense the wind and fire domain after breaking through to the Martial Emperor realm. The power of the domain would be more powerful than a single domain. Genius Demonic Feather territory was obviously a mixed territory. Moreover, it was a level 5 territory, which was beyond his cultivation level. Its power was absolutely shocking. Chaos. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He pressed his palm against the void and the chaos domain spread out, expanding rapidly. He was going to use the chaos domain to resist the other party's devil feather domain. Haha, this kid is overestimating himself. He wants to use his domain to fight against Senior Genius domain. Just watch, he's about to be defeated. Senior Genius Demonic Feather territory is at level 5, while he's only at level 2. I can't even hold on for a breath. At the side, some young men sneered. A second-ranked domain against a fifth-ranked domain. Was that even possible? Buzz. The two domains collided, causing the void to shake. Then, their domains intertwined and clashed fiercely. 1, 2, 3. In the blink of an eye, 10 breaths had passed. Their domains were still entangled in an intense battle. Some of the young men from the Sky Demon sect stiffened. Their eyes were wide open as they glared at Lu Ming. A second-ranked territory could actually resist a fifth-ranked Devil Feather territory. From the looks of it, it was difficult to determine the winner in a short time. How was this possible? What kind of domain was this? How could it be so terrifying? Is a fifth-ranked domain really that great? Break. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly said coldly and pressed down with one hand again. Buzz. The primal chaos domain trembled as it weighed hundreds of millions of caddies, suppressing everything. Boom. Genius' expression changed drastically. His devil feather domain collapsed with a loud bang. His body trembled, and he could not help but take 3 steps back. The others were dumbfounded. Genius' face was extremely gloomy. In the confrontation of domains, he was actually defeated. He was no match for Lu Ming. A 5th-level territory was no match for Lu Ming's 2nd-level territory. This made his killing intent surge. Initially, he wanted to perform well in front of Xian Yanqing and trample on Lu Ming, so that Xian Yanqing would see how vulnerable Lu Ming was. He wanted Xian Yanqing to see that he was the real genius and would have a whole new level of respect for him. But now, his 5th-level territory was no match for Lu Ming's 2nd-level territory. It could be said that he had lost all his face. Boom. Demonic chi surged from Genius' body, and terrifying demonic true essence spread out of his body. Kid, a domain is only one of a martial artist's combat powers. It doesn't represent all of a martial artist's combat power. Now, I'll let you see what true combat power is. Jinyu let out a long cry. His spirit body glowed and demonic chi surged. A demonic blade flew out from between Genius' eyebrows and was held in his hand. What a joke. Territory doesn't represent all combat power. If you have the ability, suppress your cultivation to the LV2 Martial Royal Realm, and it'll defeat you with one move. Lu Ming's voice was filled with mockery. In the beginning, Jinyu wanted to suppress him with his domain. After his domain was no match for Lu Ming, he said that the domain did not represent his full combat power. How ridiculous was that? Jinyu snorted coldly. His face turned even colder as he slashed down with the demonic blade in his hand. A ray of saber radiance pierced through the sky. It was unknown how long it was, but it came down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming circulated his essential core to the maximum, and his muscles bulged. There were wisps of chaotic chi shuttling through his muscles, increasing the power of his spirit body. Roar! A dragon's roar was heard from Lu Ming's body. Following that, Lu Ming charged forward. His chaos domain burst forth and he threw a punch. Boom! The punch landed on Genius Saber Radiance. With a deafening boom, Lu Ming's body trembled, and his chaos domain trembled violently. With a swoosh, his body was sent flying. So strong! Lu Ming retreated 1,000 meters away. He felt a burning pain on his fist. At the same time, the chi and blood in his body were boiling. Genius' spiritual body was definitely a medium-grade earth spiritual body, the same as Mojia's. His cultivation had reached the peak of the LV4 martial royal realm, and his combat strength was extremely shocking. A heaven's favorite like Jin Yu could easily fight above his level. He could easily kill a LV5 martial royal realm or even stronger. Haha, that brat is no match. Many people laughed. Finally, Lu Ming was no match for them. They heaved a long sigh of relief. Previously, they were suppressed by Lu Ming, and they felt very aggrieved. Lu Ming! Behind them, Xian Yinqing looked worried. Thousand-splitting demon saber. The golden feather pushed Lu Ming back with one strike, and took advantage of the situation to slash at Lu Ming again. As the energy of the air-frozen bead gushed in, Lu Ming cast the wind element technique. His figure flashed like a floating light and passing shadow, leaving no trace behind as he dodged Genius blade gleam. Jin Yu frowned and slashed with the demonic blade again. This time there were 3 blade auras, blocking Lu Ming's 3 escape routes. However, Lu Ming's speed was so fast that those with weaker cultivation could barely see his shadow. With a few flashes, he dodged the 3 blade gleams one by one. Slash slash. Jin Yu roared. This time, he slashed out 7 vast blade lights in one breath. Unfortunately, it was useless. Lu Ming dodged them one by one. Damn it, kid. You're just hiding here and there. What kind of skill is that? If you have the ability, then fight with senior brother Jin Yu. Not bad. You only know how to dodge. What's the point of that? Some of the young men shouted unhappily. What a joke. When did you guys hear that a martial artist's movement technique isn't a part of their combat strength? Lu Ming sneered in response. Those people's faces turned red. Indeed, movement techniques had always been an important part of combat strength. Attack, movement, and defense were all part of one's strength. What was the use of brute force if it couldn't hit anyone? You can't escape. Die. Jin Yu roared. The demonic blade was mighty. This time, he slashed out 18 blade gleams at once. The entire world was shrouded in blade gleams as they slashed toward Lu Ming. Chapter 1474. 1474 Chapter 1474 Who can fight? Buzz! 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 Lu Ming's figure flickered rapidly and dodged the blade gleams. Then he charged at the golden feather at top speed. Good. Genius' eyes were filled with cold killing intent. The demonic feather territory spread out. And in the territory, there were rays of saber radiance that slashed at Lu Ming. Seal! Lu Ming suddenly spat out a word. Buzz! 5 light doors suddenly appeared above Genius' head. The 5 gates of ceiling shone with a brilliant light, and pressed down on the golden feather. At this moment, Genius' movements froze. He was enveloped by the sealing power of the gate of sealing, and was greatly affected. Break! Die! Jin Yu shouted in anger. 5 rays of blade light shot out, and hit the 5 gates of sealing. The 5 gates of sealing started to shake violently. Boom! 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 Then the 5 gates of sealing exploded. However, the seal at this moment was enough for Lu Ming. Godly sword technique. Lu Ming appeared not far away from the golden feather. 2 beams of black light shot out from his eyes like 2 divine swords, piercing toward the golden feather. This was a soul attack technique. Genius' domain was unable to block it at all. The black divine sword directly pierced through the domain at an astonishing speed, and entered Genius' body. directly breaking through Jin Yu's spiritual god. Boom! At this moment, Jin Yu felt a tearing pain in his soul. His spiritual god trembled and his aura weakened. At this moment, Lu Ming used all his strength. His third bloodline appeared, and a wisp of energy surged into Lu Ming's body. Then he threw a punch. Other than the Chaos Sky-turning seal, this punch was Lu Ming's strongest attack. He threw a punch, which directly penetrated Jin Yu's domain, and went straight for him. Get lost! Jin Yu roared angrily. He endured the pain in his soul and exploded. However, how much power could he unleash in such a hurry? Boom! The force of Lu Ming's fist was as destructive as a dead branch, crushing the power of the golden feather. Jin Yu's body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was sent flying like a cannonball by Lu Ming's attack. Bang! Lu Ming stomped heavily in the air. His figure was like lightning, catching up to the golden feather, and throwing another punch. Jin Yu let out a blood-curdling screech as his entire body was blasted towards the ground, heavily smashing onto a towering devil mountain. Debris flew everywhere as Jin Yu's entire body sank into the devil mountain. How did this happen? The other disciples of the Sky Demon sect were completely dumbfounded. Just now, Jin Yu clearly had the upper hand. How did he get defeated by Lu Ming in the blink of an eye? Some people did not even see how Jin Yu was defeated. Just now, Lu Ming had suddenly retaliated by casting the 9 seals of the Divine Gate and bombarding Jin Yu's soul with the Divine Sword technique, causing Jin Yu to reveal an opening. Then, he exploded with all his strength and severely injured Jin Yu in one fell swoop. All of this had happened too quickly, in the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint. Brat, what kind of despicable means did you use to injure senior brother Jin Yu? That's right, he must have used some despicable means. Otherwise, senior brother Jin Yu clearly had the upper hand. How could he lose so quickly? You're shameless. The few young men glared at Lu Ming and berated him. Shut up. Xian Yinqing stepped forward and glared at the disciples of the Tianyu demonic sect. As a disciple of the Tianyu demon sect, you were defeated by someone who was 2 levels higher than you. Instead of reflecting on your own shortcomings, you only know how to slander others. Don't you feel ashamed? But he just... One of the young men wanted to retort. What just now? In the battle just now, anyone with a discerning eye could see that Jin Yu had used his king's spiritual weapon, while Lu Ming had been unarmed the entire time. He had not even used his king's spiritual weapon. The only reason he had won was his true combat strength. How could he have used any despicable means? If it was really a despicable trick, there are so many people here, including my senior brother, who is a high-level martial emperor. How could I have hidden it? Xian Yinqing scolded again. In the crowd, there were some youths with unfathomable cultivation. At this moment, their expressions were somewhat unsightly. They knew that Xian Yinqing was right. Lu Ming had won because of the secret skill and his own combat strength. The young men's faces turned red, and they didn't dare to say anything. Who else wants to fight? Anyone at or below the 4th level martial royal realm can come and fight, Lu Ming said. At the scene, the disciples of the Sky Demon sect had extremely gloomy expressions. Who could still fight? Even Jin Yu was defeated. Jin Yu was an invincible figure at the LV4 martial emperor realm. Not many people could defeat him. If he was defeated, others would only be humiliating themselves. The crowd looked at each other, but no one stepped forward. I was wondering how strong the fighting power of the disciples of the major sects in the Yuanlu continent was. But in the end, you can't even beat me, a man from a savage island. How disappointing. Lu Ming shook his head and sighed. Ah, damn it. Many of the young men from the Sky Demon sect clenched their fists and gritted their teeth. Lu Ming's words were like a slap to their faces. Previously, they had called Lu Ming an ant from the savage island. How could he be compared to them? One by one, they belittled Lu Ming and placed themselves in a high position, saying that Lu Ming was not worthy of Xian Yinqing. Only geniuses like them were worthy of Xian Yinqing. But now, they had sent out a paragon whose cultivation level was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's. But they were still no match for him. If Lu Ming was an ant and a piece of trash from the savage island, what were they then? All of their faces were burning, as if there was a flame burning. I almost forgot. I still have something to do. I'll be leaving first. A young man suddenly spoke and turned to leave. I also have something to do. Me too, my master is looking for me. Following which, the young men randomly found someone to deal with and quickly left. They really had no face to stay here. Especially in front of Xianyinqing. Brat, there are stronger heaven's favorites in the Tianyu demonic sect. They're just training outside. Let's fight again next time. A few young men who were the most unwilling to give up also left after leaving these words. Even Jinyu was carried away. In the blink of an eye, not a single person was left. Lu Ming, I'm sorry. Xianyinqing went forward and held Lu Ming's hand. Don't be embarrassed. You're my woman. These toads want to eat swan meat. I'll beat them up one by one. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Xianyinqing's little face blushed slightly, and he smiled happily. Buzz. At this moment, the space nearby suddenly rippled, and a figure suddenly appeared. It was a beautiful middle-aged woman in a black demonic robe. She also had an indescribable aura. Master! Xianyinqing exclaimed in shock when he saw the middle-aged beauty. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This beautiful middle-aged woman was actually Xianyinqing's master, the sect master of the Sky Demon sect. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.